Good morning. Oh, hi. Coming to you from the old wool room. Anyone recognize this? This was the first Melly Knits wool room when I graduated from the kitchen island to a plastic table in the garage and then went to this room. This was my first actual wool room. And it's like hilarious to be in here now because it's real small. And I'm trying to remember how I had the little homie, like this is the whole room. Looks a little bit like a Victorian hospital room at the moment. It kind of doubles up as like a spare and as one of my son's rooms in the summer. So it's not really like decorated and we just had it painted. There's nothing on the walls or whatever, but this was the OG wool room. Current wool room is across the hall behind those slats. We can't be in there today because the closet is being demolished today in there. We also can't be in my other son's room, which has better lighting, because it is full to the brim of contents from this wool room because we had to empty out a whole bunch of stuff last night. And and Emily put it away so neat and tidy in that wool room, but it's like packed. I can't even get in there. Sorry, in my son's room, can't even get onto the floor. And I can't even go sit in my room because the wall in my bedroom, like where my headboard would be, on the other side of that wall is this closet that's being taken out today. So then I'm feeling like we would just hear like the most insane, crazy thumping. And I can't go sit in my living room because as everybody comes and goes, the dogs are going to go crazy and bark like nuts. So at least here, I can close this door when actually the contractor is going to be here in like 20 minutes. So maybe I should close the door now. Good morning. Okay, hold on. I'm going to close the door now. We're just going to lock ourselves in because I'm seriously, yeah, there goes Dutton. There he goes. He's barking like crazy. So this is perfect. So the lighting is I feel a little bit like I'm in like the Blair Witch Project when I'm in here because there's just like, this is it for lighting. So I'm kind of glowing. But if I turn this off, I feel like we're kind of sitting in the dark. And I don't really love that for us either because it is so gray. We have an atmospheric river right now. Maybe I'll turn this on and turn it down a little bit. We have an atmospheric river situation happening right now in this area. So there's like all this crazy flooding. Hold on, let me get comfy. Hi, good morning. Welcome to the last day of Advent Lore Live, Blair Witch Project styles, as we sit in a spare room because as I've just explained, I have traveled through all the rooms in my house to figure out where I can go, where I will have peace, where we won't hear renovation or the dogs going psycho. So they're just really up right now because we've had so much traffic in the house, like in and out, in and out. And Dutton already is still like just, I feel like that dog is almost always in the red unless he's snuggling Aaron and then he's not in the red. Otherwise, straight up, that dog is in the red constantly. Okay. Hi, everyone. Last day of lore. Oh, hello from the ceramic studio. Good morning. Can't believe it's day 12. Good lunch to you. Hey, Danielle caught one of the lives. Hey, first live you're catching. And we're doing it like this. I promise the background was slightly more interesting before. Okay, what do we got? Light on is better. I agree. I think the light on is better too, because otherwise we're not going to be able to see any of the colors or things we're doing. Oh my gosh, this room is so funny. It's so bare. And then there's like a wedding dress hanging in the closet, like random. Robe day, la la la, hi, robe day. Yeah. So I refer to this as a house coat. In the States, it's a robe. What do other parts of the world call this? Who's here from somewhere else in the world? To me, this is my pink house coat. We call it a house coat. What do you guys call this thing? Robes? My robe. Robe feels so like royalty vibes. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and this isn't royalty. I mean, it's cozy royalty. I am super cozy right now. I got this years ago for Christmas from Aaron, and it's from a brand called Barefoot Dreams. And it's just, it's It's my adult security blanket. It's my adult security blanket. It's like an XXL. It's like this real big, cozy. I just love it with my whole entire heart. And I even have Barefoot Dreams pajamas that I got for Christmas last year. They're so fancy. A dressing gown. Judith Davidson says it's called a dressing gown. In the US, I'm in the US, we call it a house coat. Okay. Good morning, Dion, spinning her Dreamland. I'm so sad the first Advent is over. Wow. Oh, Shannon, Unicorn Fluff, we have flooding too. It's crazy, right? Because you're in Montana? Is that where you are? Yeah, it's nutty, hey? This amount of I'm so used to rain. The joke, if you're born where I am born in the world on the west coast of British Columbia, is that you're born with webbed feet. Like it's just puddles all the time. It's always gray and always rainy. But this is next level. Like the rain was next level. Dutton didn't even know what to do with himself because he doesn't like to pee in the rain. He was hugging the side of the house. He'd pee, he'd poo real fast. He'd bolt back and he's like, I'm not walking in it. It was really funny. Shaba doesn't care. Shaba lives for weather. Good snow day. That dog is in his element. Okay. Well, hello. Looks like we're all in. So gorgeous. I'm so glad that you're all here and you're coming in for our last day of lore, the live lore. Now, okay, last day of lore, yes, for the three main Advents we did, the OG 3, we'll call them, the originals. Here it's robe de chambre with a very French robe de chambre. I can hear Melanie Allaire. She has the greatest accent. I love getting voice notes from Melanie Allaire. Imogen, I'm in Burnaby and agree. It's the rainiest December in a long time, right? This is like heckin' rain. This is crazy rain. Okay. All right. So we're here for the last one of the first 3 Advents we did. Dreamland, Delightful, and The Great Guts Adventure. I don't need to remind you, but I love the mood boards. So let's just look. There's our Dreamland, our Fairy Core Nighttime Garden 12-day color melt, staying in the same wool. Here is our Delightful, 3rd year back, 6 fine wools with interesting mix-ins, and all handmade treasures. And then here's our Great Guts Adventure. This year we took off in this sort of vibe. As you can see, the inspo bag, we got the Tokyo bag there. I've shown off the owls, which kind of stayed to some of these warmer grays and palettes and stuff that's coming out of this. And very excited about what the Great Guts Adventure has been this year. I already have plans for next year. So great. And then, we had trash vents. And then this Advent, Shenanigans, which was born after the fact for the wait list. And we're going to look at that one tomorrow. So that is, but today we're going to do finale talks for the big 3, the ones that I actually planned all year, those ones. So let's talk about those ones. Okay. Good morning. You guys ready? Where should we start? Which one do we want to start in? Hope this little light lasts, because if we get stuck in the dark, it is dark today, going to day 12. I'm Melly, by the way, from Melly Knits. That's it. That's all the intro I'm going to do. Hi and welcome. Okay. Where do we want to start? Do you guys have a plan? I don't have a plan. Okay. Delightful, Great Guts, or Dreamland? I got them. I'm ready to go. Hold on. I got one of these blobs on the desk. Oh, I'm behind the Spinning Shenanigans. Oh, Spinning Shenanigans is so good. I can't wait to see Shenanigans. Ooh. Okay. Yeah. All right. Never mind. We can't talk about Shenanigans yet. Tomorrow, which, just by the way, as a reminder, Samantha said delightful. 2 people said delightful, starting with delightful. Thank you. I have decision fatigue from living in a renovation. I can't make any more decisions. I can't. I'm done. She's cooked. So I'm trying to decide, so by the way, the wool room reno has just grown. So it looks like because I'm off for the next little while, especially since we're not doing that sneak attack shop update anymore and sommelier is like basically done. We're going to do floors now. We're going to do probably paint now. Like there's some things we're going to do now. So when I go in there in the new year, it's fresh and we're ready to work. So, so things grew. I really love a reno. I love a good reno. I love remaining in a space, but feeling like you're in a new space. You just can't believe you were 16 years in the room as it was. And now it's like so different and awesome. I love it. And it's messy and there's a lot of decisions to make. Mm-hmm. We're going to go with Delightful, folks. Then I'll do Dreamland and then we'll finish on the Great Guts Adventure. Okay. So we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. So let's start with Delightful. So Delightful, where the heck are you? Delightful day 12. So far in Delightful, recap. We met a Cormo, an off-character Cormo. We met on my board to reference me this time. It's going to be hard. We met an off-character Cormo. We met a Corriedale. And then we went over into is that when we went into the Jacob? Yes? No. What came after the Corriedale? Anybody remember? We did the Cormo, we did the Corriedale. There was the Apple Creek Merino, the Jacob, the Haunui. Never mind, I was right. Apple Creek Merino, Jacob, Haunui wool. We had the fine wool Jacob fleece with the Haunui wool. And then yesterday we met a Bond. And I talked all about how much I love Bond. And I didn't have a ton to say because it's a real straightforward. It feels like a cheater. Like I feel like I'm cheating when I process Bond. And everyone's like, oh, this Melly bat is so good. And I'm like, honestly, I had so little to do with that. Bond goes crazy. Bond is an strong, independent woman. Bond is just like, I got this all by myself. I don't even really need you to help me because I'm going to be perfect as I am. And I just need you to turn on the machine and maybe put me in a bucket of soapy water. But like, that's it. Bond takes care of it otherwise. So at the end here, we're about to see what I blended the Bond with. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jacqueline. Watching on 20-inch Melly had Melly vision today. How do I look that large? How does this look on your screen? Looking good? Good. I hope so. Also, correction, by the way. The Haunui Day had Australia on the back of the tag. It's not Australia. It's New Zealand. Official correction. Day 12. Oh, we're here. We've arrived at day 12. Okay. All right. You guys know I've been feeling this color this year. Here's day 11. Here's day 12. Remember, the point and the goal is a spin that is cohesive when they're plied together. When day 11 is spun as singles, day 12 is spun as singles, you ply them together. We're getting as minimal barber pole as possible. There was a few days we had that were identical. We love those days. This one's a shade different. This is a shade warmer. And holy moly majoli, this is soft. Do you know why this is so soft? Because we blended in 20% Paco Vicuña from Golden Amber Farms in Oregon. How many of you have heard of just straight up Vicuña? Might be a new word to some of you, might not be a new word to some of you. Straight up Vicuña is currently, I believe, the world's most expensive fiber. Now, the reason why it is so expensive is because it is so incredibly rare. It's very difficult to get it. Vicuñas, and I'm going to pull up a picture so you guys can see because she prepared. This is a Vicuña. This is a wild animal. They are not domesticated, okay? Wild animal. And they live in South America. And if you've ever seen it, you got to Google how they shear these guys. They shear them every other year, and they get a very, very small amount of fiber off of each animal. the fiber that you get off of vicuña. So if you have 1 year growth, they're kind of like 2 to 3 inches, and then 2 years of growth, like 3 to 4 inches. And so the fiber that you're going to get off of these guys is going to be minimal. They're the smallest of the camelid family. So with our llamas and our actual camels and all that kind of stuff that we have in here. So these are the littlest ones, and they give up a very small amount of fiber per animal every other year, essentially. And they have to, I remember Aaron watching this video one year where there's like guys on dirt bikes trying to round these things up into a pen, and then they're fighting for their lives as they're being held down and sheared and then released. So vicuñas were very, very endangered for a point in time. There was only 300 animals left on the planet. Now the herds are like 350,000 strong, but they are still, they're still like endangered. I guess you could say they've brought them back, but they're very protected. So this is a vicuña. So if you ever see vicuña, the first time I played with it, I bought 5 grams, and I think I paid like $80 for this 5 grams. It was crazy. Of processed vicuña top, and I put it into a hat for Aaron. So that is how, that's the lore on a vicuña itself. A vicuña is the ancestor, the wild ancestor of what we have today as our domesticated alpacas. Similarly, the guanaco, another animal we haven't played with much, I'd love to, I've never played with guanaco, is the ancestor of today's llamas. That's where we get our llamas from. So they've been learning leaps and bounds with modern day DNA testing science. Apparently forever ago, they found a bunch of mummified vicuñas and vicuñas and guanacos in like a cave, and they were able to do like comparison and check their microns. And that was like a huge discovery moment, because originally I think everyone thought it all came out of guanaco, but now they're seeing alpaca comes from vicuña and llama comes from guanaco, and there's some mystery, like the great camelid is like somewhere in the ancestry DNA lore, but we don't know what it was. It's long extinct. That would have been like the father camelid that bred out into vicuñas and guanacos, and then from there, alpacas and llamas. And so just how, like it's lore. These animals have like mystic ancient lore. So here's how this works. Vicuña are very rare, very, very expensive. You are spending so much money per gram on vicuña. It's just nuts. And they're super protected in South America and Peru. You can't export them. So there was this couple in Colorado in the 80s, the Switzers. This was me, by the way, doing all of my research. I did this research about 1.5 years ago, so just in case this hasn't lived strong in my brain. The Switzers in Colorado had an alpaca farm. They're no longer in business, and they were looking into characteristics. They'd done a bunch of field trips to South America, and you can export alpaca from South America, but you can't export vicuña. But there are alpacas there that strongly, strongly resemble the vicuña. And they resemble them in their characteristics, not only their physicality, but they resemble them in their characteristics. And they could export those. So they exported those, and then they just kept breeding towards going back to the original vicuña ancestor. That is what created the Paco vicuña that we have today in North America. It is an alpaca. It's a domesticated vicuña, essentially, if that makes sense. And then what they were able to do is get the fiber to the same place it is on a vicuña. What makes vicuña fiber so special is the animals don't get coarser as they age. They can be as low as like 8 microns. They can also be higher, like 22. Still a lot softer commonly than alpacas, with a lot shorter of a coat. And anyway, so this is this whole deal. So there's only like, I think there's something, I don't want to throw out incorrect numbers, but I believe when I talked to, what was her name? Hold on. What was her name? I was emailing with, I know her name, Linda from Golden Amber Farm here in Washington. I think she said 900, but don't quote me. In the US, that's all the Paco Vicuña that there is in the whole of the US. So look at this. Isn't that just the coolest thing ever? So I contacted Linda from Golden Amber Farms in Oregon. Washington? Oh, shoot, guys. I think she is in Washington. Or maybe she's in Oregon. Whatever. I'm sorry. Excuse me today. Showing up strong for this final Lore Live. Because my friend Melly, Royal BB, this would have been not this last summer, but the summer before, was like, hey, look at these Paco Vicuñas, and there's like a discount code. And I was like, what? And she had been like gently discounting some of her Paco Vicuña blankets, her raw blankets. So I reached out and contacted her, and I ended up getting one. If you, just for reference, if you guys were to run over to Golden Amber Farm today, Amber is the name. This is Amber, by the way, is the namesake Paco Vicuña on their farm. This is her. This is who we're spinning. This is who's in here. This is Amber. Her blanket is £2 this year, and you can purchase it for $1,080 US. So when I was hinting that I had used the most expensive mix-in that I've ever bought, I was serious. That's raw with VM in it, okay? And like some light level guard hair moments we got to get out. So that's without any of the labor to process this thing. That's what we paid for a Paco Vicuña blanket. And I got it shipped up here and went to work on it. And then it turned out to so Paco Vicuñas kind of come in like one color, which is this color, and maybe a hair lighter. I washed it. And I was like, you know what? This does not suit the color story for last year's Delightful, which was my intention to use it. So I just shelved it. I just shelved the washed fiber, and we just kept it on the shelf because I knew I was hunting for a mate for it. I literally went this color story because I was hunting for something to go with Amber. And so that's why I was always on the search for what fleece can I put with her where they're going to match up. They're going to be like the same vibe. So anyway, this is, that's our girl. That's who's in here today. And yeah, it was beautiful. It was a really interesting processing experience because, you know, you've spent like all this money and you're getting, it's a dirty alpaca blanket. Like that's what you're getting. Shorter, fluffier, different shape of lock than an alpaca. I wash a lot of like Surrey and Wakaya and like all those kinds of alpacas. And it's, this one was more tapered. Yeah, definitely shorter, but whoa, was it soft. The color is absolutely perfect. The color is absolutely perfect. That's why thank you, Melanie. Thank you. It was worth the wait. This wouldn't have worked in last year's Delightful. So what we ended up doing is I washed it as I would wash any other alpaca, but way, way more nervous because I just spent $1,000. Do you know what I'm saying? So I just was like, so scared, and we washed it. Then I learned after I washed the first little sample that it would be better for me to sit and pick out some of like the guard hairs beforehand. So at the top of the peak of the Vicuña, I had a little left to show you. And honestly, it's in that other room somewhere. I have no idea where it is. It's in a tiny Ziploc bag. I know exactly what it looks like. Holy moly, I can't find it. At the top of the peak, if I just reached to the top of the peak and pulled up, I'd get like 6 kind of glossier, darker, longer, higher micron hairs. Were they higher micron enough to remove them? Would it have still been stupid soft? Yeah, it would have still been stupid soft. I removed them anyway. So went through and picked. Then ended up giving the washed fiber to Thursday friend, who you might remember painstakingly de-haired the Kiviot last year and pulled all those big long hairs of the Kiviot. So she went to work and she got this all picked open. And then me and cute little Emily, me at first, cute little Emily tried it for round 2. We let her have this experience. We carded it up. And that's what it looked like coming off the carder. and it was the stupidest, softest, most gorgeous thing. I couldn't believe how gorgeous and soft it was. There it is in the basket. Um, so this was a real team effort to get this processed. We had Royal BB, we had Nelly who sourced it, and then I contacted the shepherd and bought it, washed it. Thursday friend painstakingly and carefully picked it. By the way, we didn't get rid of any of it. Usually there's like a little waste pile when you're picking through things. We kept every last bit. Believe me, I'm not throwing 1 gram of this away. We were even like scraping it off the liquor if it landed there. Like nothing. Every gram, I'm like, that's $13, like, or whatever it is. Not throwing that away. So so this one was pretty epic to card. So what we did, I wanted to pre-card it because I wanted to know, I hadn't worked with it before. It behaves like alpaca on a carder. It wasn't difficult to card. But I wanted the security of pre-carding it into bats. And so just before I was going to go blend it and use it, so we did. We pre-carded it into these big, beautiful, unbelievable sheets. And then we went to work blending it with today's bond. And that was it. It has no texture. It didn't chunk. Like this is super smooth. This is here, let's just put this away for a sec. This is an extremely smooth bat. Very rich. And it's like stupid soft. This is crazy soft, especially when you do it next to the bond. Because remember we talked yesterday about how bond is a fine wool with work boots. There is an edge to bond. This one's 23 microns. It's a lovely bond. It's got like there's a grip to it. This really, I want to know what you spinners think when you get on this. How much of a difference do you notice in the spin? Because I have from my own sampling, this drafted a lot thinner and it was a lot silkier. So there's our difference in our days between the Vicuña day, the Paco Vicuña day, and then the regular old bond without the Vicuña. So that's what we did. I've been sitting on that fleece for so long, unable to talk about it. I was so excited about it. It was this monster purchase. I've never, ever spent that much money on raw fiber in my life. Will I again? That is the question. Because this was a really lovely experience. And it's cool to say that we processed Paco Vicuña. That's kind of cool. Do you know what I'm saying? I hand processed Paco Vicuña, which isn't pure Vicuña, but which is still, it's way more money than Kiviot. Like this was still a super expensive fiber. Danielle, I'm joining late and based on the comments, is it Vicuña mixed in? Yeah, Paco Vicuña. So, okay, here we got someone already coming in. Agree, smoother draw on today. Lovely. Yes, it somehow softens up or releases some of the grip the bond has in the draft, and you just get this like real buttery draft. Like still has the grip. It's still got bond in this fleece, but wowzers. So I got to process Paco Vicuña. It was so scary and fun. And so, thank you, Melanie. Thank you very much. I think, okay, for all intents and purposes, let's say one of you go out today and you go to the Golden Amber website and you see all the different Paco Vicuñas that they have for sale. And you're like, you know what? YOLO. We could be dead in an hour. And you go ahead and you get one of these fleece. It processes like alpaca. It wasn't fussy. It is, but I think I was scared because of how much money it cost. So if I had made, and I was new to it, I wasn't sure at that point if it processed just like alpaca. Spoiler, it does. But at that time, I had been nervous because if I screw this up, like this is serious if I screw this up. So, So anyway, very cool experience. Loved working on it. The fleece arrived. Oh yeah, the fleece arrived gorgeously. And but I remember opening it and at first being like, okay, so that's a Vicuña. A Paco Vicuña. Okay. Like there is VM in it, and there is like, all the, it's a little dusty, like all these normal things. I don't know. I don't know if maybe just with the price tag, you expect it to come like in a treasure chest or something. And it just arrives like any other fleece. And I was like, all right, in like a poly mailer, because it's small. When I got Amber's blanket, it wasn't 2 pounds. It was smaller. It was like almost 2 pounds. So it came in this little tiny. It's like buying gold. It's like this little tiny package. But look at it. And now we can say that we have spun Paco Vicuña. So for comparison's sake, just because it's fun to see, I showed you this. This is a wild Vicuña. Okay. This is a Paco Vicuña. Do you see what they've done? Do you see the marvelousness of this? Look at how they got those animals like paired up. Because alpacas, I'm assuming we all know what an alpaca looks like, so I didn't put a picture up. Maybe I should have put a picture up. Dion's asking, do they roll in dirt too? Absolutely they do. Absolutely, they take dust baths like anything else. But see how they've done this? How they've gone back with the alpaca and just mimicked or bred for the pure ancestral Vicuña trait of where these guys domesticated from. I think it's really cool. So, because that is not, to me, that little guy at the bottom there is not what an alpaca looks like. I'm around alpacas. Aaron shears alpacas. They don't look like that. So, and they're just little tiny weeny things too. They're just little guys. And then again, just because it's fun and we can. Oh, that's really small though. Amber is on this far side. This is Amber who we're spinning. This is a Paco Vicuña from the Switzer flock, that OG flock where they brought them over here and started their work. And I got that somewhere on the internet, but it's Chris Switzer's picture. And then this was from just like the Vicuña website, Association of, there it is. So there's all my stories. Pretty nifty, hey? Isn't that cool? Aren't we now curious about like the father alpaca who this all came down from? I don't know. I think it's really neat. It's sad, but it's neat. The idea too that there's all these animals we have no idea about. All the animals we still that because they're no longer here. Not to mention the ones we have no idea about that are here. But David Attenborough will clear that up for us pretty quick. Okay. Oh, the center one is blank. Oh, it wasn't blank on my screen. That was the center one. What if I do that again? And we go like, boom, boom, boom. Is it still blank? Can I make me go away without my microphone? Did that show? I don't know if that showed. Anyway, I hope that showed. Because I can see them on my screen, but anyway. So there it is, guys. We have met all of our days in delightful. Ending with a monument, such an awesome history lesson. You're welcome. Yes, I Googled. Okay. Oh, still not showing. Interesting. The one that is not showing is this one. This is the picture from the Switzer's flock. The guys the couple in Colorado who brought these over. They're retired now. We can't get from them anymore. That's who this. Is it not showing still? Wow. Is this not been showing the whole time? It's still showing? It's not showing. Can you guys see what's next to my face at the moment? Maybe it just doesn't like living in pairs of 3? Or is the Switzer picture not shown this whole time? Because that would be really stupid. I'm waiting for the chat to tell me if you can see the picture next to my face right now. Not showing? Give me a sec. Dumb. Stupid. Out of date. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Because this is going to bug me. Not showing. This is so dumb. So dumb. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go screen. And I'm going to share my Google search. You guys ready for this? Hold the phone. I'm going to go like this. We're going to take the one that's not showing away because he's dumb. Boom. And then I'm going to go down here. Okay. This is the picture I was trying to show you guys. So let's just go to visit this website. There's a llama. He's so cute. He will spit at you. And that there, guys, this is what we talk about. We're referring to a blanket. This is the area here that is the blanket. You can spin this. You can spin all of this. It's just coarser. This is the prime area that spinners are always after. Hold on. What the flip? Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Oh, you're not seeing what Can I tell you something? I'm a gimpin today. We're back. I found the screen. This is the blanket. I was going like this, and then I went back over to see. I'm going to catch up. We're going to get there. We're going to look at all the things. This is the llama. This is his blanket. That's the prime part. This part here and this part here is still spinnable. This is the hyper spinnable blanket that people are looking for. So there's your llamas, alpacas. See, doesn't look like the Paco Vicuña. There's a Surrey alpaca there. The one that looks like it has dreadlocks. That is a Surrey alpaca. That's the alpaca that I say blends a bit more like silk. Like I would put Kashgora and Surrey alpaca in the same category if you're looking for a halo glow. So there you go. And then down here, that's the picture that wouldn't show on my site. This is the one that I borrowed. So this is from the Switzerland flock. That is a Paco Vicuña. So cute. Notice the little ruff. I love the little chest fluff. And then they don't actually have a picture of a Vicuña on there, but you get the idea. Holy smokes. You know, I just want you to know, I really did preload all these photos. And then it betrayed me. Totally betrayed me. Let's move on. Shall we? Shall we move on to Dreamland day 12? Unless anybody else had any questions, I got stuff to show. Blank the whole time. No, that was Amber. Look at this. While you were raving about it, we couldn't see him. Thank you for staying with me, everybody, this morning. Thank you for staying with me. Okay, I'm so glad you guys could see everything. All right, so there it is. There's our journey through delightful, the forest floor this year. We saw all these really gorgeous fine wool fleeces. I can answer questions on delightful, or we can wait till the end if you guys have specific questions about building out advents in general, and then I can generally talk about it. I think that's what we're gonna do. Let's open the last day of Dreamland, shall we? And hope all the pictures work for this one. Okay, so our multicolor advent where we have been journeying around. And today we are closing the loop. Oh, someone's asking how much loss from washing. I have it written down, but I'd have to go look. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I remember it being gentle, like 200 grams kind of thing. Like it really wasn't. It's like dust loss or whatever. It was maybe not even 200 grams. It was light for sure. You retained a lot of that fleece. Okay, you guys ready for the last day of Dreamland? Ta-da! That's our last day of Dreamland. So what we have done on this last day, hold on. Let me show you from my happy Dreamland basket while not also spoiling the Great Guts adventure. Ha ha ha. Okay, so yesterday we were here. We met our blue friend yesterday. And today we're here because if we journey all the way back, where are you? I know you're here to day 1. Is that day 1? Wait for it. That's day 1. If we go all the way back to day 1, we're tied in. Here's day 1. Here's day 11. And here is what happens in between them. So we have, and again, this camera is not doing justice to any of the things. I'm just making sure. Yeah, that is the one. The camera's not doing justice to any of the things, but we tied ourselves right back around. That's how we finish the Advent. Blue, blue, purple, purple. And we're right back at the beginning. So when I was telling you guys that you could literally like go any way that you want to, like when you start spinning this, that you can start at any point after you're done spinning and knit it. You could start in the blue purples, the green yellows, the orange pinks. You can start anywhere you want to. No matter where you go, you will melt because we've just tied it back up. We tied it back up with this last day. And this day is so pretty. I think this is one of the days where I'm like, so whenever I'm choosing my favorite color from this set, it's funny, I always look for the one that is it's always these mixes because this blue purple came out real cool. But I also really love the orange pink day. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And I love how this worked. Oh my gosh. Because I made myself my perfect Advent. Because I do this at home. And I know we've talked about this. You guys do this too, where we kind of grab the other sets we have and we work towards the melt, towards getting things, I do, towards getting things to move. And anyway, I just absolutely love it. Okay. So I'm going to put this back real quick, and then we're going to look at some photos. And we're going to see what I used to build out this beautiful basket. Oh, color. Geez, I'll tell you something. A lot of you guys made me nervous when I first started opening Dreamland, and everyone's like, I think day 1 and 2 look exactly the same, and I think day 3 and 4, everything looks exactly the same. I was like, oh no, because in my building of this, that's so good because I spun the whole thing out of order. Still 4 to go. It's fabulous. Oh, Jacqueline, I love it. When I looked at the whole picture, I know what it does. And I was warning everybody in the beginning that if you look at this day by day, we're not going to see monster shifts. And then when that exact thing happened, and I had people online being like, looks just the same as the other day. And I was like, no, just trust the process. I promise it'll be good. Because here is what I saw when I was building it out. You see? This is what I was looking at, but we were like, you're so close to it day by day. But this was what I created that night in the wool room. This was the next morning. I took a picture. Cute little Emily rolled up, and I'm like, it's my opus. It's my it's my work this year. I loved putting this Advent together. Now they're all different sizes because I was sampling, and I started getting smaller and smaller with the samples when I was realizing that there was a lot of sampling to do. So you can see the purple silk up there, top right corner, the pink silk, the orange silk, the yellow silk. You can kind of make out the green silk. And I think the blue blob fell off, but I have another picture. This is what I made that day. You can see the color clearly is really getting around. But when we started on purple, you can definitely tell. Look at the first 5 days. Yeah. Especially days 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Days 2, 3, 4, 5. Isn't that wild? Those are like extraordinarily similar. And you see more of a variation once we hit orange and go around. Although I will say the yellow, green, green, blue, like if we started there, we might have had the same kind of responses. But this is the full shot. I have another shot. Okay, this is interesting. This was inspo. When I was first pulling silk, this is where I thought I was going to go, what I wanted to do. So I wanted to melt between these colors specifically is what I wanted. And this did not work at all. This was a spectacular fail I actually mixed a lot of those colors in. So you can see the pink on the far right went into the Advent. The purple next to it did not. The purple one more in, third from the right, did. The blue next to that did not. That was my moody blue. and that was a disaster. The light blue next to that did not. The light teal next to that did not. And the green on the end did. So out of the whole thing that inspired me to do this, 3 of those colors actually made it into Dreamland, because the second we started blending these colors in, it became very, very apparent that certain colors were just not going to show up against the gray. Here's another look. So there's our gray fleece base, which we're going to lighten slightly, but it stays that color because we were accommodating for the black fleeces in the mix. Okay, we talked about this the other day with the white alpaca and a bit of sari silk. And then we've got, this is Tussa silk that we've used here. Hold on, I'm just going to slide some of these away, make this bigger. So this is Tussa silk along the top. And then we got a little blob of sari silk. We've got a gray base. And how interesting was it? So green far left made it in. Light teal, absolutely not. You couldn't even tell it was there. Light blue, couldn't tell it was there. Dark blue looked almost identical to the purple, but like dingier and grosser. Light purple, absolutely not. Pink made it in. So this was again, like, that's why we cycled through a lot of blues. I tried all these colors, and it was interesting to see who did and didn't show up. And what we had to do was get a lot more bold so I could get this idea. I think when I was laying this out, this was speaking to what I wanted. Like, the idea was there. But when we actually went to go blend it, the color of that base didn't show us a lot of these colors. And the color of that base also really lent itself to improving a lot of the colors. Because in my mind, I'm like, we're gonna tone all of this with gray, which is gonna be beautiful. I don't want vivid purple. You guys know how I feel about that. I would not want to be spinning that green on the far left at all. That is not my color. But that green in that gray washed out with that sari silk toning everything at 5%, holy smokes, became the green of my life. Is that this one? I think this is the one with a bit of the blue in it. But like, hot dang, I absolutely love this fiber with my whole entire heart. So it was just interesting where you dream in the beginning. And we have this with Delightful too, where the Vicuña is such a good example. I wanted Vicuña. I bought Vicuña, didn't work with the color story. We switched it up. We shelved it for later. There were ideas here that I could see myself, colors that I love, that I know I will use in future Dreamlands in other bases, but didn't go with this one. So here it is, nighttime under my lights in the wool room. So this is just a huge work light that we have. A huge one. We have Dion is asking, did you use the same color sari silk? I did. Every single blob, we did the same color sari silk. We wanted consistency amongst the days. Because the original idea had been to play with the sari silks to get our colors. We decided to play with the Tussa silks to get our colors and use the sari silk consistently throughout the entire advent. So all of our flecks were the same color. And then we would have extra consistency in the melt. That's what we did. So there it is under a fluorescent light. Look how weird the day looks in this lighting, just due to the shadow between the pink and the orange. It looks like a copper, and that's not it at all. So, and look at there, you can see the blue silk we ended up going with to get the blue we got, which is not vivid like that. Absolutely love it. But look how pretty the blue purple day shows up between the two. That might be my favorite. Or look at the day between the purple pink. That might be my favorite. Definitely not the day between yellow and green. That's not my favorite. The green day is also stunning. Spent a lot of time with that green. That betrayal silk. Okay, so this is what we made. I love it. I've also got pictures of when we began packaging. Oh, hilarious. There's my son's room filled with bags. So every single one of those bags contains a day of an advent. Those all contain. So there's going to be a bit of Delightful and Dreamland in there. Couldn't even walk through the room. Obviously the room is, and all those boxes in the back, that's our treasure. I told Emily last night that making these advents is like having a craft fair in a box. It's like little craft fair stuff. Like if you go to a craft fair, there's a lady there selling lip balms, and we got little ornaments, and we got this and we got that. And there's our craft fair all back there waiting in those boxes till we can itemize them and bring them downstairs on packaging week and get everything going. But we had to literally steal an entire bedroom to host to host the bags. This does not include what we did for Shenanigans, and this does not include the washed wool we did for the Great Guts Adventure. This was just our 2 main carded advents. There's like a lot of carded fiber there. It's crazy. Here's Dreamland on packaging day before we got started. So this would be downstairs. Natural lights. We're playing with shadows. You can see my security system there in the window. We're so safe. This was hilarious because the lighting, so we've just had the renovation done in this room. We've had pot lights installed. Those would have been really handy because in the natural dark lighting of that room, there's only one ceiling light in the whole living room because this house was built in 1993 and I believe they just were crazy for lamps because why was there no lighting? This was so funny because I'm starting down here, purple bottom corner, close to the bottom of your screen. That's day 1. And we're zigzagging. Day 2, day 3, we're working to the left and then jump up. Day 4, 5, 6, jump up. 7, 8, you know what I mean? So we're doing a zigzag, okay? So this would be what the bags looked like before we broke them all down and got them into their little blobs. So each one of these blobs is specially weighed out. You know how we do that third pass I talked to you guys about on the Carter? 2 passes on Big Homie, and then we do a third pass that it's kind of our last QC check. It sizes everything. It refines everything. So we get these 100-gram bats. Well, for Advent, we're splitting up everything into 20-gram blobs. 25-gram blobs. 25-gram blobs. So because we're splitting down the middle, a lot of you, and because we don't want to short anybody, we're actually carding slightly bigger bats here than we would do the sheets. The sheets are slightly larger here than we would do for what we roll up for our 100-gram shop update bats. Those are all bigger too. Sometimes they're just at 100 grams, but sometimes they are like 108, 106, because we don't want it ever short. That's the whole point. So these ones we weigh out even more because now I've got to split them down the middle and make sure everybody gets 25, which is why some of you'll be spinning and you have a little tiny piece. So you'll have your piece, but in it, there's like a piece within a piece because I need to make up a gram or 2 because maybe I didn't split it exactly perfectly. This one doesn't have it. But like I grab the sheet, I split down the middle, I have 2 scales. I weigh it on one scale and then I weigh it on another scale because I'm paranoid, as Emily will attest to, about ever shorting anybody. Then I pass this off to the girls and they get in their tissue and they wrap and tie it up. And we put everything into these baskets. Oh, that's another wool room. Hold on, we'll come back to that one. Where's my baskets pick? I have a baskets pick somewhere. Did I not load it? Huh. I guess I didn't load it. We get everything into baskets. Here it is. Why were you hiding from me? And then I'll show you that because I'm talking about it right now. And so that's where my brain wants to go. Meanwhile, it has to go where I just started here. These are the baskets. So everything gets wrapped up. So every single one of those baskets represents a day in this Advent. And then that's when we'll grab the project bag and we'll go around and around loading up the bag. So we'll grab one bag and we'll start at day 12, loading into the bottom 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then put the bag down, get a new bag, and we'll travel in a circle. So I think 4 of us wrapped this one, got this one bagged. Then it goes into the boxes. And then once it's in the boxes, that's where we add the wrapped candle, the pattern, the stitch marker, the little spin card, the sticker, the art book, and everything gets all packed up. QR code, bam, 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 bam. Dreamland written on the top. If you peel off your shipping label, you'll see where I wrote it. Into the corner. And then the next day, we'll wrap the next Advent. It takes us a full day. It takes 4 people all day to wrap an Advent. And then me and Aaron alone at night sitting on the kitchen floor to get them all boxed. So Aaron and I boxed up Dreamland. I think we boxed up all of them. I think we did Dreamland, Delightful. Great Guts Adventure was built into a box. So that one kind of got boxed as we went. But these 2, him and I boxed those one night, taped everything shut. So that's how it looks when they get done. Delightful looked just like this, but black packaging. And then the Great Guts Adventure. How do we put we had to use big, like reusable shopping bags for the Great Guts Adventure because we couldn't get the days to fit into this basket. They're like not as compressed. So yeah, that's where we went on Dreamland. But let's go back for a quick sec to this picture. So this again is under the fluorescent lighting. We have a huge overhead studio light in the wool room, big one, big panel light. And it gives us really, really good light. So under this big, bright, reflective light, the silk really shines and you really see the colors. So the start here, purple top left, and then next to it, purple pink. Beneath the purple is just the pink. Beneath that, pink orange. Beneath, and then you see the orange, then you see orange yellow. And I think orange to orange yellow is where I see my biggest change. Where I told you guys there's a day that kind of jogs where I don't know, like everything else is gonna swoopy melt. It's really interesting to see how the yellow dominated the orange there. I was surprised by that. It's still very coppery, especially in shadow, but I thought that was interesting. And then up here we're yellow, yellow, green, 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 blue, blue, which looks extra vivid there. And then the blue purple, which ties us back to purple. So that's how this day rolled. This was a remarkably fun Advent to put together. I don't generally venture into color, as you guys know. I like that I have so many indie dyer friends who author color. That's what I call it. Color authorship. They write into existence these beautiful color combinations. And spinning in the sunlight and the silk is gorgeous. Oh, lovely. And I don't know that I've ever styled myself as someone who really kind of does that. I don't know that I have confidence there. I'll alchemy up a sheep blend and what I'll put into it all day long. But this was a challenge for me. This was a great stretch for me and an exercise for me. I really liked doing it, but I did find that I maybe felt a little bit more I wouldn't generally ever identify myself as an insecure person. I'm not insecure. I think we all have areas of it, but especially in my craft and in my making, because, there's nothing really to feel weird about. If it doesn't work, we don't put it in the shop, or we this or this or this or this, but I really wanted this. And I went out, for me, what I would consider to be a limb for me. This was not my strong area. This isn't where Melly knits. This is what Melly knits is known for. Melly knits is not known for playing with color, because I rely on the natural color that these animals grow, and we just live in that land, right? Delightful's filled with color, but the sheep themselves are telling the story, not me. So what was really interesting in going out on a limb for Dreamland was I'm authoring color and telling a story and having it come out just the way that I want it. For me, what do I love? To me, that's the most acceptable purple. If we have to spin purple. And naturally, I'm an orange lover. So I love that orange. You know what I mean? We've got colors we lean into. So this was a real exercise for me and I kind of put it off. I knew I wanted to do this project, but I remember just being because if you just give me a fleece and a mix-in and all day long, I got that going on. But actually coming up with a structure for color and telling a story in color was new for me, not my strong suit. I don't know. I don't want to say not my strong suit, because I love this. This feels strong to me, but it just was a matter of, oh, thank you. It was just a matter of, it was the deepest I've ever gone into uncharted Melly territory. Let's just say that. Now that it's done, I'm addicted. This definitely stretched my rubber band of comfort and brought me out into a space where now I feel more comfortable with doing this again, to the point where we've already given next year's fairy theme to the artist, and I'm already dreaming up where we're going to go. And I've already ordered the fleece. It's reserved. The fleece is reserved because I want to tell another color story next year. I don't think we're going to go right around the circle again, but I've got this really cool idea. And I'm like, ooh, can I get that to work? And now I feel like I can. It's just we've said it before, we'll say it again. There is absolutely no replacement for experimenting. Just try it and see what happens. Like at the end of the day, if you get an ugly color, whatever, or if it felts a little bit, now you know next time to be more gentle, or whatever it might be that we're working with. There's no replacement for experience and for doing it and trying it and doing the thing. So that's what we did. And now I'm hooked. Now I want to make everything melt. I want to get that all, like, I love it. So that's what we did with Dreamland. And it's great. And I fully see Dreamland coming back again next year. And that's the plan. So where shall our fairies go? And what shall our color be? But that's what we did. Lily Dog, did one person do all the carding for consistency? It was fabulous. I loved working through each color. The carding, I would say Big Homie is primarily done by me and Aaron, asterisks. And Cute Little Emily and Cute Little Nurse Daughter are primarily on those two smaller carders, on the little homies. Oh, thank you. They're on the little homies. Emily has absolutely been, though, getting way more comfortable and good and skilled on Big Homie. So Big Homie is the first time wool meets Carter, and you have the most threat of things going wrong if you don't do it right. Little homies, by the time it gets there, third pass, refinement. Like you're just kind of, shaping and sizing things. And then giving it that one last pass just for good measure, just to give it one more look, make sure the quality's super good. So there's more, like the girls, when they get on the little homies, they can literally put on podcasts. They can even have a little show they've seen before going in the corner, and it becomes very mechanical. You just sit down and you just draft, spread, feed all day long. Big Homie, you can't be watching anything. You can listen to something, but you must be paying attention, because you can actually do damage if you do it wrong. That's where you're going to do it. And so she has actually really taken to the Big Homie, and she's killing it. So Emily has just Big Homied the current round of sommelier, like on her own. She just finished Blossom yesterday. She did Origins before that. She did, what was the other one she just did? Origins was hilarious, watching her go for Origins. That was a good, interesting blend this time around. And then she did Jiggly Butt, and she did all of those on the Big Homie. I was on a little homie yesterday. It was wild because I'm never on the little homies anymore. So carding wise, it's going to be a mix of people who are carding them, but because I'm teaching them what to do from the get-go, and I'm always over their shoulder, I will be like, bearding. Oh yeah. Like I am nitpicky with these kids, and even with Aaron. I don't need to be on Aaron. Aaron's solid as me on carding. But when we have these girls gaining their experience, and there's nothing in me that I care about what goes out the door. So I will correct very easily if I feel like we need to make a micro correction. Like, hey, make sure you're spreading it evenly so one side of the bat's not too thick, and do this and do this and do this. So they're all trained in my exact way of doing it. So that's probably why you're seeing consistency across the spinning when there's 4 people on carders and various, hands touching it. Plus they're all on the same carders too, which really helps, because there's a lot to do with this. It has to specifically do with the tool at hand. And there you go. Does that answer the question? Fulsomely, but we love it. We love it. Okay. So we're kind of zooming. It's 10:10. Bro. Dreamland, anybody? No. Great Guts Adventure, anybody? The Great Guts Adventure, shall we? And then we'll have question time. So if you have questions and want to know anything, I'll tell you. I share my recipes. Okay. Great Guts Adventure, day 12. I saved the best for last, in my opinion. Mind you, if you're like, no, Melly, nothing will be better than the How Nui Day. No, it's the Fine Jacob. Actually, it's the Wellman Corriedale. That's what we love about this. why we love 12 days, 12 breeds, different classifications, all that kind of stuff. This is why we love this, because you get to really figure out your preferences because you're trying them all. Some of you, a very small amount of you that I've seen so far, really enjoyed the Icelandic day. and then many of you did not. So or just you can appreciate it for what it is, while knowing that you're probably not going to go out and buy an Icelandic fleece or necessarily seek out its roving or whatever it is. And some of you might have felt that way. A lot of you really love that Molly Border Leicester lamb, that day 2, the perfect one. And I heard from at least 2 people who were like, this is not it for me. I struggled with this. I don't like spinning this consistency of wool. So like, we have this same method with foods and food avoidances. We have the same method with fashion, things we do and do not like to wear. And all it is preference. And so what's great about the Great Guts Adventure is you can pull that out even if a day you don't like, there's something that you learned. This is a preference for me. And this is something, this was something that is meaningful to me. And so we're ending on something very important and something very meaningful and something that I love with my whole entire heart. Preference can also be sentimental. So here we go. Here's what we have for day 12. Hold on. She's chunky. Of the Great Guts Adventure. Got a nice dark fleece going. Some lovely bleach tips. We've got a deliciously orange sari silk. I do love orange. Also, for any of you who haven't processed yet, hold this up next to day 2's silk. They're the same color. So this is going to be really interesting too for the spin, because this is a sari silk. This is a sari silk. Lovely textured. It's a recycled product made from recycled saris. SARI. And it's got all these little flecks in it. So you can see this is what creates our chaos bats. This is burn pile. This is burn pile wool. Okay, let's talk about the burn pile. Let's talk about the precious and the special burn pile. This burn pile not only happens to be shorn locally by my husband, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It wools. Okay. The wool be woolen. It's got these great locks. It's kind of chonky. Hold on. I'm going to find. It's got this kinky wonder. Look at this lock. And here's why this is so special to me. There's 2 reasons why this is so special to me. One, Melly knits as this business, as we know it today, with its 170 advents and fiber clubs, this and that, and Carter's coming out the wazoo and all these other kind of things, began on my kitchen island, and it began with Icelandic, as we talked about the other day, and it began with the burn pile. I was looking online for whatever farmer was throwing wool in a black bag on the side of their driveway. First to come get it gets it. And I would open mystery bag after mystery bag of wool to see what was inside and work with those. And a lot of early Melly Knits bats were heavily based in the burn pile. We still have burn pile in our shop all the time. If you ever see my Instagram bio, it says burn pile to blue ribbon. So, and that's where we're at today. But initially it was burn pile. And what the burn pile means is there are great quantities of wool today that are composted. They're burnt. They're stuck in a corner somewhere to decompose. That's what this wool is. So, okay, so reason one why I love it is it speaks to my origins in Melly Knits and into my history. This represents a time when I couldn't have imagined buying a $30 a pound fleece. And I just finished telling you, I bought a $1,000 Paco Vicuña blanket. Okay. Like this represents that. What else this represents all of the backyard flock, nameless meat sheep. There is no ribbon. There is no important farm. This animal probably has a name. We don't know it. It has a breed. We don't know it. It probably, like Dutton, Dear Dutton and Sweet Shaba, probably has about 7 breeds. there's probably a whole lot of something going on in this fleece. There's no accolade. It has no spotlight. We don't know. Uh, and there's something really special about that. I love my celebrity sheep. You guys witnessed me go crazy talking about Jacobs that are coated and looking at the faces of this one and the name of that one and look at the history of How New We Wool and what they're doing over there and look at like this and like all these kinds of things. And with all of that, there is absolutely the same level of excitement, and we have the same stage for and space for the nameless meat sheep from down the road that lives in some lady's backyard. Like she's got 4 of them. And my husband happened to go out and shear them. And that's a common story in our area of the world. I remember early days Melly Knits. I'd be on Facebook Marketplace a lot. I got teased for this once. Teased in the not nice way. It was like kind of this like backhanded comment about how I buy my fleece on Facebook Marketplace. And I came back and I was like, yeah, I do. I do get my fleece off Facebook Marketplace because there's shepherds out there who also, want to sell maybe they're hoping for $10 a bag. And maybe you're going to open it and it's actually going to be burn pile. Like we can't fix this. Or maybe you can, and you can get this from it. You can learn how to clean it. You can learn how to process it. You can learn about its isms. You can pick the dead bugs out. You can do whatever it is you need to do. And you've got this lofty, soft, squishy, beautiful bat to spin, wool to wear. I can knit this into anything. It's surprisingly soft for a sheep with no accolade, no pedigree, no name. Just some little dude just chilling out there on the earth, just eating his grass and pooping and doing his thing and growing his wool. And I love it. There's something so absolutely romantic about the burn pile. And this is going to be a gorgeous spin for a sheep that when Aaron went and sheared, he was like, when they're good fleece, when he can tell, he offers the shepherds like to buy it. And a lot of them all the time, because he'll take money off the shearing fee or whatever it is. Got the most gorgeous $10 2 fleece a bag off Marketplace. I do too, all the time. He always says when they're good ones, he'll say to the shepherds, and sometimes they're really not good ones, okay? But like when they're good ones, he'll say to the shepherds, like he'll take it off the shearing fee. We'll take the fleece for the shear, whatever it may be. And I'm going to tell you 90% of the time, I'd like to say 100% of the time, but I'm sure there's been like one or whatever. They're just like, no, oh my gosh, you can use it? Oh, good. I just want something to be done with it. Like I'd love it just to be used, because they're just going in the compost bin or sitting in a shed somewhere for 3 years until the moths get them or something like that. And I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, the shepherd's like, I just want it to get used. I would just be so grateful if it could be used. They don't spin. They're not going to wash it. They're not going to fire up a website and suddenly become fiber marketing people. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is, they're shepherds and they got other stuff they're doing and they're running little farms and they got lives and whatever else. And so this is the part where they do things. And while we have some shepherds, as we've seen even in this journey, in this delightful lore, who do both very well, they shepherd and they get their wool out there. So we know it's there. There's lots of shepherds who don't. Hence the True North Advent, where I couldn't get a lot of people to get back to me because they're not invested in, say, like the email thing or the whatever else. They're happy just to ship their wool off to wool growers for 28 cents a pound. So this to me is extremely meaningful. And while we've met so many sheep with meaning, and we've seen so many shepherds behind the flock, and we've met the actual people and we've seen their faces and they've been here in our chat who are caring for these animals. And I mean, having to make tough decisions when they get sick. And I know how many stories I've heard of shepherds having to reach their arms up inside gooey animal spaces to pull another animal out, or like, I don't know, guys, this one's coughing, or this one, I don't know, like there's all these things they have to think about. And oh, we have a drought, now we're gonna have a monster hay bill, what are we doing about that? So all of these things, we've met the people behind the flocks We've seen the shepherds. Some of these sheep, we've seen them and we've learned their names. And I think there needs to be a place always, and there will always be in Melly Knits, for the burn pile, for the non-entity, for the sheep that has no spotlight. And I think we need to spotlight it. That's my own feeling. This is how I feel about these sheep. And I encourage you guys to look, if you're a processor, so some of you just got my carded stuff, you're not a processor, and some of you guts people, you're comfy with the guts, you don't necessarily want to get into washing it themselves. I think the reason why I am a good scourer, why I have never met anything in a bucket that I can't wash, why I don't have issues picking, why I know what to do. Why I tell you guys, I have my tips and tricks. Oh, I have a tips and oh, this fleece is doing this. Cool. I have tips and tricks. I know what to do for that to get the best out of this wool. The reason why is because of the burn pile. Because the burn pile taught me lessons. You know, the first time I ever saw moth was in the burn pile. Of course, that's probably not a surprise to any of you. Aaron drove out to this farm long before he was shearing. This would have been early days. And they were selling fleece out of their barn in big black bags. Warning on the black bags. We don't store wool in black bags ever. And he brings it home, and I already, because I'm a bit of a, I don't want to say paranoid, sounds like a negative connotation, but she's paranoid about critters, moths, all that kind of stuff. And I have lots of safeties in place, lots of safeties and checks and all kinds of things. Nothing gets in the house until it's been inspected. Nothing gets near the house. The yard, maybe. Anyway, we open this bag, and it's got the weirdest VM. And I'm like, that's like some strange plant material. I don't know if I've ever seen that VM before. And so I pull one off, and I'm looking at this VM, like, what kind of plant did that come from? And I put my nail, and I squish it, and it pops like a zit. That was moth larva. So, not the larva when they first lay their egg and the egg hatches into the little tiny thingy, and then the little heads would pop out and eat and go back and pop out and go and then hatch as a larva, wreak havoc all over all of your wool, then cocoon up and emerge as an adult moth. This was the cocoon up phase before they emerge as adult moths. Pop like a zit. And like an alien horror movie, or like, you know, in The Little Mermaid, when Ariel goes to meet Ursula for the first time and the poor unfortunate souls are like, oh, they're like weeping from the bottom, like with those long faces, and they're all like gooey and swirly. They started to do that. That's all I could think of. Like 100 of them came out, and they started to be like it was like the grossest thing. It was like something from a horror movie, alien Disney cartoon. If you could merge all of those things together. Poor unfortunate souls. Still the best Disney song to date ever. That's what it looked like. And Aaron will attest to this non-dramatically. We tied up the bag. We got it out of the house. And I took a blowtorch, real story, to the ground the bag had been around, in case something fell out. That's what I did. I blowtorched the floor, and I made him walk the bag out to his truck that's parked 2 blocks away, because this is not staying near my house. And that was a valuable lesson. I can spot moth larvae from a mile away. I think it's good to know, because sometimes you see it places you shouldn't see it, like fiber shows. I've seen it there. Spooky. Anyway, so all that to say is, look at this. OMG, Jess, no. What's no for Jess? Oh, bad timing for to start eating breakfast. Yeah, they pop like zits. It's awful. The burn pile taught me that. The burn pile taught me felting, cotted tips, unbelievably heavy VM. The burn pile taught me what to do when you find a beetle infestation in a fleece, or swint bathing. You guys remember the journey through swinting? Remember the early Melly Knits days, stinky buckets in the backyard, and like rot throughout the neighborhood, people walking past my back fence being like, there must be a sewer leak. And I'm like, no, it's my sheep and my swint bath. And I still have the highlight reels up. If you guys want to watch them, there's highlights on my Melly Knits Instagram of when I was swint bathing, because these fleece were so crusty and dirty. The only way to get them clean would be allow them to, on purpose, rot in my backyard in a vat of water so the bacteria could eat them clean. And then you have to air dry it. They're anaerobic bacteria, so once they dry out, they don't stink anymore. But lessons. This is what the burn pile taught me. And I appreciate it because I'm not the Melly Knits I am now, right? With all my ribbons around my sheeps and like all these other things. If I didn't learn on things that came to me in all of their states, they came to me in every with that Melly. If I hadn't had those experiences, if all I'd ever worked with was the stuff that had had a careful eye, like these shepherds that we've met all through these advents, carefully watching their flocks, carefully skirting their fiber, thinking of the end user in mind, wanting them to have a good fleece experience. I wasn't buying those sheep. I was buying these sheep. And that's where I learned. And so anyway, I absolutely love and value and appreciate the experience that I got from the burn pile. Therefore, it had to be the finale for the Great Guts adventure. All that being said, there was nothing wrong with this fleece. It was just nameless and unwanted, but there's nothing wrong with it. This fleece is absolutely perfect. It's not tender. It has some crusty tips, but we see that in like pedigree fleece too. It's a sound fleece, got a great little ping to it. A little bit of a crusty tip, but look, I just opened it up just there with my nail. It's going to drop some VM in your lap, but you know, that's not a crime. And it picks open beautifully and it processes easily. And it just needs, it wasn't any dirtier than some on-purpose wool that's grown. Let's call it on-purpose wool, not byproduct wool. And it's just a gorgeous little babe. And you're just going to pick it open like you would any other and feed your glorious little blob to your carder and watch the magic happen. That being said, I have paired it with sari silk, which is a monster pain in the butt. So sari silk. Have fun getting this out of your carder. You know what? I was thinking of giving you the messiest fiber last, the worst to clean off your carder, and it wasn't possum. It's this. This is super hard because these little stringy things, they just get trapped in there. Oh my Lanta, they get really trapped in there. When we're running chaos in the wool room on the big homie, we'll run all the chaos at once. Then we have an epic clean. We have to run some blank wool through the crap wool. We run it through the carder and then peel it off in order to try and catch any of these little strings or whatever. This is a real pain. Anyway, just want to tell you guys that. So blending with sari silk, I get a real good infusion on my carder when I blend with sari silk. It blows it apart. Some of you are going to have more streaks of sari in your silk. Still super beautiful. Still really pretty. You can keep doing multiple passes. This is going to be a great wool for getting your sari silk to blend because this wool is quite bulky and downy. And so this is going to really help disperse that silk because we're dealing with 20%. And that goes here. What happens to that crap wool? Oh, the stuff that we run through the carder to clean it. If Aaron had his way, he would just compost it all the time. I save the good ones with the little flecks. We had people take them I've had people take them for pillow stuffing, quilt stuffing. Sometimes friends take them to spin. We have lots of it. It gets repurposed. It doesn't ever get into the shop, but it gets used. So the crap wool, the crap wool is not wool that we've processed. It's commercially produced roving. It's from this Canadian mill, and you can buy pounds of it for super, super cheap. And we use that just to run it through the carder, peel it off, and then we get rid of it. Guts compatriots, put a layer of wool down first. Absolutely. Sorry, I said that in one of the past videos, but when you're carding this, good call, Marina. Get a base layer of wool down, covering the base of your drum before you go in with your sari silk. Can I also mention that 5 grams, so this is 20% going into your guys' stuff, but 5 grams looks like a lot of sari silk, doesn't it? And it really has a strong color, an intense color. Okay. We did it, friends. That was our last day. Burn pile and sari silk, sheared by my dear husband. We did it. We lured. There's no more lure to lure. We lured. And how did we manage to do all of that? And it's only 10:30. And on other days, without lore and final thoughts, I've managed to get this thing going for 2 straight hours. Okay. There it is. Now, what do we want to talk about? Does anybody have a specific Advent question? I do want to show you my board. Hold on. Okay. There's lots of tips going in the chat here on dealing with the sari silk and getting it broken up and doing things with it. Yeah, you guys are all, there's good. Everyone's helping out in the chat, talking about sari silk and getting it to infuse and getting it to blend. Dion is asking, where do I get my sari silk? I buy my sari silk from World of Wool in the UK. I buy 2 kilos per color at a time, and I'll commonly have a monster box show up to my house a couple times a year. We go through a lot of sari silk, and so I just buy it in like monster quantities, and we store it all in the wool room. Which fleece did Emily fight to get into GGA? Oh, okay. That was a Caracol. No, absolutely not. I said no. We actually had to veto her on that one. That was the conversation where Aaron said it has to be a good adventure. We have a whole clean Caracol fleece, and it is so straight and so coarse that I don't know. I couldn't do it to you guys. I couldn't do it to you. There was no way I could have, in all good faith, sent that out to you guys to process. I didn't want to touch it. It was really awful. But if anybody wants to venture into Caracol, I have some. Maybe if you're getting an order someday, I'll send you a couple of locks. It's pretty bad. Oh, Monday. If anyone's checking, extra sommeliers will be posted on Monday. We're going to package. We ship on the 15th. We're currently in disarray because the wool room's getting big work on today. But Monday we'll pack up sommelier and we'll take it to Chit Chats and to Canada Post to ship it. So when we have confirmed, I already know I have extras, but I like to just be double, triple, quadruple sure. So I like everything in its bag, and then I look at what's left on the shelf, and then I double check that against just making sure I got, just making sure. Okay, here we go. What did the FedEx guy ask you besides what is wool? Oh my gosh, yes. What was the Customs Day 12 lore? Okay, you guys really want to talk about shipping? Ugh. Blech. I just sent an email this morning to FedEx again. Of all of my parcels, there is one still being held from the first batch, and with absolutely no reason. Every time I call, can you help me? Can you tell me what's going on with this package? Do you need any information? No, we don't. We have everything we need. So they'll release it soon. It'll go out soon. It'll leave soon. I'm like, so it's been since I shipped those. When I shipped those, the 14th of November, we've been almost a month. And it's just sitting there. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to charge me storage fees. I have to pay storage fees on every parcel that they stop until they get their answer. Well, I've asked them like 8 times, like, what else do you guys need to know? And FedEx is like, nothing. The border isn't asking for anything. As much as we can see, they have everything they need. So it's just sitting at U.S. Customs. Oh, it's infuriating. It's actually infuriating. So there's one person who's scratching the door. There's one person who does not have their Advent yet. And I've been in contact with her. Well, you can come in, but if you're going to be, you have to stay in. I'm closing the door. Okay, yeah, he wants to lay down. I've been joined. There's one person who doesn't have their Advent And I've been in contact. She knows. She says she's great. She's even joking about it. She goes, well, I hope if it doesn't show up before I leave, because she's currently visiting family from overseas, then she's like, then I'll just get my, mom to ship it to me and whatever and send it to me somewhere else. And I'm like, or I will take care of it. I can't believe it's still being held. So I emailed first thing this morning. Aaron hadn't even brought me up my coffee yet, and I'm already emailing FedEx, ClickShip. They've all been great. So I want to make that really clear. I ship through an app, through a program called ClickShip, and what they do is they give you options for which carriers you want to go with. And so you get to see all these really good prices, and you get discounted shipping. Because I ship in volume, I get a good rate. And so, versus what you would expect 2-3 day FedEx to cost from Canada to the US, right? Like you would have a number in your head of what that should cost. Because if you were a private citizen doing that, it would be quite expensive. It would be like $60 or $80 or something like that. But I get really comparable rates to even like Canada Post. So when I have a rep who helps me out, and he was the one that recommended the FedEx International Connect Plus, because your brokerage is included and like all these other things. There's lots of logistics for cross-border shipping. So this would be I'm talking specifically shipping to the States, because for me as a Canadian shipping to the rest of the world, I fill out a customs form which itemizes what's in the box and what the value is, which in itself was kind of hard to do because I sell these things as kits. And so it was interesting. I went with lower numbers across the board on the value points, but whatever. I just was thinking at the border, so it didn't look, so we're focusing on the wool. Anyway, so I just have to outline a customs form and slap it on the box, and I mail it. And when it gets to those countries, China, Singapore, Malaysia, Sweden, did we have one go? Yeah, we had a bunch go to other places. When they get there, their customs grabs it and then determines what the receiver should pay based on that country's tax law at the border for imports. Okay, I told you though that if you came in here, you were staying. So then don't scratch the door. I love you. Because obviously every single country has different tax thresholds. So I just learned about what the UK's VAT tax is, and what their threshold is for when you get charged VAT and duty. If that's going to be different than all the other countries, everyone's got their own thing going on. But it's not me as the shipper that deals with that. It's the receiver that pays that and that takes care of that. What's been going on with the States, we talked about this briefly right now, with there being zero de minimis, that means that there is no threshold. So 135 Great British pounds is the threshold for the UK. America's used to be $800 US, astronomically high. No other country has a de minimis that high. The de minimis for Canada is $40 until our GST kicks in, and then it's 100 and something until we pay duties on it, which is a higher percentage. So every country has its own rules, and every country's border takes care of that themselves, except for with the new rule that came in August, which has thrown everybody for a loop. America's de minimis went down to zero. So now there is no threshold. There's no parcel that gets through duty free. And everybody sending to them has to figure out their taxes. But it's been crazy. So now every single thing I send through, I had marked, just so you know, the lip balms in the advent. So we're getting to this question. When the advents were going through and I got asked what wool was made of, in that same conversation, I got asked what lip balm was made of and what was its use. And I need to be clear. FedEx is a middleman. They're asking questions to me that they're being asked from US Customs. So FedEx themselves is my broker. I have all my paperwork. I've got FedEx compliant. I'm using their paperwork. I filled out their own forms, and I've got all these documents that I upload to them. They have what they need. And then in addition to that, sometimes we're just going to get that border agent, I guess, who thinks that the lip balm needs to go to FDA. Did you guys know that? It was the lip balms. I'm getting dinged $18 on only some parcels because they needed to send the lip balms to the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, because it is a cosmetic and they needed to like check it or something. Can you believe that? And so many just sailed through, no issue. And then there's like 8 where they're like, food and drug, there's something in that lip balm. We're talking like a low value item. You know what I mean? Like super low, but they're going to hold it up, storage fees, and they're going to send it to the FDA inspection for your lip balm, your coconut oil, essential oil lip balm. Some of you, not all of them, some of them. And then some get through. So it's kind of like a crapshoot. Like why, if there's 3 advents and they're identical, let's say there's identical quantities, identical advents, just divide it up by 3. Why did maybe 2 from each set or 1 from this one, but the other 45 got through? No issue. So it's got to be like the human being at the border who's looking at it. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I can think of. It has to be that because my paperwork's identical across the board, and 97% of these things sailed, absolutely sailed through the border. No issues, no fuss. And then there's been a few. So I've already had a few come back where they're billing me for tariff. So they want like $80 per box on certain boxes saying I need to pay the tariff. And which I'm like, no, I don't. It's Kuzma compliant, and all my compliancy documentation was there. So that's a process though, where I have to like, because the US border has veto, they could just say, well, we don't think it is. And then I have to pay it. So like there's this, it's very interesting. It's been an interesting little season with shipping. It was discouraging. Some days I found it to be very discouraging, especially since there isn't like a real easy guide to getting all these things across the border. I learned by doing it. So by the time I got to shenanigans, armed to the teeth, I'm going to flood them in paperwork. Now I know what they're asking. Now I know if someone persnickety is going to get your box and they might be like, I want to check this one for hard drugs. Then I know exactly what they're asking for. So shenanigans has sailed across the border. I couldn't believe the movement. No issues. And I still have some delightful, I think it's a delightful sitting at the border. So whatever. So I got asked that day what wool was made of and what its intended purpose was. And then every time I said, it is a product that people use to spin to make yarn. Okay, is it knit or woven? It's not either. It's neither. Neither? No, it's neither. It's unspun. Hence the stinking super specific 10-digit code that itemizes that product and my 2 sentences of description. It's an unspun product. Like it's all there, right? But someone at the border is asking this question. So the guy has to ask me from FedEx. So I'm being really nice to the guy. And then, okay, and lip balm. What is lip balm and what is its intended purpose? And I'm like, lip balm is like a lotion for your lips. So you would use it if your lips are dry. Okay. I'm trying to explain lip balm. All right. And and he made me go through every single thing that I had itemized in the box. The stitch marker was surprisingly easy to explain. I said it's like, I was careful though, because if I say it's jewelry for your knits, and they're gonna be like, oh, jewelry, 35% tariff. So I was a little careful with some of the things that I was saying. And I just said it's an identifier. So it's just a little teeny tiny piece, beaded thing that we just add to our knits. So we know where we're at in a pattern. It's a tracker. But then if I say tracker, they're going to be like, oh, electronics, oh, steel surcharge. So I was so careful with what I was saying. But yeah, that's how that went down. And they had me, what else was the other one that they asked me about? And there was the lip balm. The lip balm was crazy. What's the intended use for a lip balm? I'm like, the temptation to be like, say something super rude. I just filtered it. Essentially, you can stick it where the sun don't shine. Is where you want to go in these conversations, because I'm like, come on, really? It almost feels punishy. Is how these certain shipments felt. Like I have said that the lip balm is a $2 item or whatever is what I've stuck in the box, and you're going to send this to the FDA for $20 plus storage fees? Really? Guys, you're worrying about me. That was what I was, but whatever. I have to write it off that some people just take their jobs really seriously. I appreciate the constant contact I got through FedEx and ClickShip. I would recommend both, because And there was one person when I called actually about the parcel that's still trapped, and I said, listen, like I keep asking because like they're saying they don't need anything from me, but how do we get this parcel moving? And he was the first one that just said, you know what? It is chaos at US Customs. It is absolute chaos. And in a way, I have compassion too for those people who are also working under a brand new system with zero warning, right? They got as much warning as we did at this monster change. They have something like, I think there's something insane, like 3 million plus parcels a day that go through customs just from Canada alone, or 30 million. It's some huge number. And suddenly every single one needs to be checked for tariff. That's not going to be an easy job right now at the holidays too, where everybody's doing their best seller side to figure out how we get it across in the first place. And we're not logistics experts. I am now. Frickin', what do you want? You want me to send you a pallet? I bet you I could figure that out. But like, we didn't go into this wanting to do that. It actually ended up taking up a huge amount of battery in Advent that we weren't expecting. It was crazy, crazy process. Every tariff exception thing I've bought has gotten tariffed anyway. So many places no longer ship to the USA as a result. Yeah, that has been crazy. Do they open the boxes and inspect the actual lip balm? I'm not sure, actually. I feel like one of them absolutely got opened. I know for a fact one got opened because I gave them the manufacturer info of whatever was in the box, and they came back to me asking for the manufacturer info of just the lip balm. And so I was like, okay, like, so I gave it to them again. Yeah, that was crazy. So when I sent Shenanigans, I gave them a paragraph on the FedEx official forms of everything. And then I wrote an additional page that got uploaded where I outlined the manufacturer. I talked about how we make it. I gave the this again, and I gave a full paragraph. So if you had never heard of wool before, if you'd never heard of lip balm before, if you had never heard of, any paper items. So like the little, what's it called? The little, like the art, those things don't even need to be claimed because paper can cross no problem, but it would be like all those physical items. Weirdly enough, they didn't have any issue with the candle. I thought the candle, they'd ask more questions about. No one cared about the candle that went out into Dreamland. I never got asked one. Oh no, I did though. That was the one, because I got asked on a Dreamland, what is the purpose of a candle? And I was like, well, you light it and it smells good. What is the candle made of? Wax, a wick, and clay. Like those kinds of things. Like that's how, but only on that one box were they that freaky deaky about knowing exactly what everything was made out of. And there is a sensation of feeling a little bit, picked on isn't the right word, but like, I do feel like certain packages got picked on, where how come some of you got your stuff? I mailed Shenanigans on Friday and a lot of you had it on Monday. And same thing happened with Delightful Dreamland and the Great Guts Adventure. A lot of those went out and they were 2 people 3 days later, and no issue, nothing. And then and then other ones, they're like, the FDA charges are totally crazy. But I don't think there's anything I can do about those. But see, like you don't know that when you're shipping. You're scouring the internet. You're looking on every U.S. official website. I've learned that through this, just to check the official websites. I'm not taking anybody else's word for it necessarily, because there's a lot of fear out there right now, and a lot of it isn't founded in fact. So I'm doing official websites and I'm trying to figure this all out the best I can. I talked to a broker and I talked to the logistics shipper at ClickShip and all this kind of stuff. He looked through all my paperwork before I sent it out, the first batch, and said, everything looks good to me. Yep, you did this. Yep, you clicked that box. Yeah, your paperwork looks great. You're good. I'm like, okay. And I shipped everything. And then it was like this like yucky slide, but only amongst a few of the packages. So not a big deal. The real ugly thing is that I think I said this yesterday on the live lore. I got a bill last week for a tariff for a parcel I shipped in this Knit City leftovers. So one bag from all the Knit City leftovers, they have decided I need to be tariffed on. So the bat itself is like a $6 Canadian bat, and the tariff is about $75 they're wanting on this bat, because they have the tariff, and then they have the processing fee for the tariff, and then they have this fee and this fee for the tariff. And so I've already written back and I've been like, could you please explain this charge to me? Here's the documentation that was uploaded with the item. I sent through 100 others that didn't have this happen, but now I'm just knowing I'm going to wake up in February and there's going to be some email that comes through. It's like $2,000 tariffs, something like that. And I'm like, ugh. But you know what? It'll all get settled. Anyway. I'm just looking to see. Imogen O'Neill, it has been so discouraging as a Canadian business owner with all this U.S. shipping business. In 6 years, I've never felt so much confusion on how to do something. Yeah, 100%. I spent more time shipping than ever. 2 straight days, just of straight days, 10 hours on a computer each day, just uploading documents, just filling out line items for customs forms, just. And then I had no idea what the follow-up would be. Would I do it all again? Yes. Yeah, absolutely I would. This has been unbelievably worth it for me. You guys are a balm. Being here is awesome. I love the Lore Lives. It's all worth it, 100%. And so I think too, just we have to learn what they want to see. and the confusion comes in where no one's really telling us. So it's like you're kind of like, and there's lots of language, but it's all very like legally specific, not like regular old person language. So it's a lot. And then you get different opinions, because I had someone say that all they care about is the majority item in the box is the only thing you have to claim, and not the little bitty things. Because if the bulk of the shipment is made up of wool, then wool is the tariffable item. And then I had someone else say, no, they're going to scan your boxes. If they see something, a foreign object, it's going to be a problem. So itemize everything in that box. So that's the route that I went, just to be careful. But there was a lot of mixed opinion out there. It was crazy. Okay. Let's just see. We're just looking. I would feel picked on. Marina, I'm genuinely concerned about the man who needed an explanation on lip balm. And I felt so bad for the FedEx guy, because you could tell he felt stupid asking me. So I was so nice about it. I just was like, but when you answer the question, you can't help but have this lilt to your voice. It's like, are you dumb? Like, it's a lip. You guys had to call me to ask. I wish FedEx could have just like answered the question. And then when the guy told me, a different guy, because I've talked to about 50 employees at FedEx at this point, that it's absolute chaos. And they've all been so nice. We can see how this must be so frustrating for you. We're so sorry that it's being held. We have flagged the shipment. We're doing this. That's the email I'll get back today. I'll get an email back today. Hey, we've looked into the shipment. We flagged the shipment. And this one is just not moving. I'm just checking to see if I've got the email right now, because chances are, because they're really responsive and I really appreciate them for that. But anyway, there's all my stories on shipping. My woes. The horrors persist, and so do I. Okay? That's what we're doing. That's our mantra. We're going to steal that for shipping for us for this season. And we're going to do it because I think it's great. I think it's worth it. We're going to fight the good fight, and we're going to do it. Okay. So there it is. That's the shipping talk. Let's get back to the Advent talk. Who had a question about wool process? You guys want to see the board? Anybody curious about the board? This is my brain. It's going to be tiny maybe for a lot of you. It's covered in wool bits. That's my brain. That's a bag of cedar chips hanging from the ceiling. This is my brain. You can see there is the GGA, Great Guts Adventure, over on the one side there. Right away, 1 clean kilo for each fleece, 200 grams of each mix in. This is how I order out to make sure I have enough of everything that... Oh, you guys can't see the board? Is it not showing up? Someone's just saying, can we see the board soon? Maybe that's a delayed comment because I've got the board up. I just want to make sure you guys can see it. And then we went through writing down all the fleece we were using and all the mix-ins that we were using. So this is a phase 3 or 4 board that you're seeing here, because actually at first, that is how the Great Guts Adventure looked. So this is the first way that it looked. And that's how we determined who was going with what. And it was me, Emily, and was it Nelly? Yeah, the 3 of us in the wool room that day, deciding who was going to go where, who, what, when, why. So one side there has all our mix-ins, and then the other side has the fin. The fin has the breeds. And then once we knew who we were using for what is when we went through and paired everybody up. So we started out with the breeds that I knew needed the most care. So for instance, where's the bison going? That has to be put into a specific fleece. The possum needs a specific fleece, so straight shots right across. I knew the alpaca and the cormo were going to be together because color-wise that had been predetermined. I knew Sari and Burn Pile were going together. And then after that, I think Angora CVM came in pretty quick because I wanted an all-white day, and that CVM had the ability to hold on to that Angora. So we kind of got those things all worked out. And then after that, we were pretty flexible because there was an ability here for us to play around. Like that mulberry that we put into the Fine Jacob could have gone into the Corriedale, could have gone into the Border Leicester, could have gone into the Romney, could have gone into the Icelandic. You know what I mean? So after that, you just try to start to mix it up so all your colors aren't the same, things like this. I agonize over this part. Absolutely agonize. Here's a good question from Redhead Mama. Jenny's asking, how do you figure out how much to put in the GGA to end up with 35 grams? So it's about 30 grams they get. Do you have to assess each fleece? No, we just wash a ton. So I know at minimum my fleece has to be 4 to 5 pounds. We wash the whole thing, and then I know I'm going to have surplus. And so that's how come when I was going to do the leftovers, not the leftovers update, but like this kind of update we were going to do this month that we're no longer doing, I was going to use a lot of fleece that were left from this because we have a lot left from this. Because for instance, the Corriedale was like 7 pounds and we only needed a clean kilo to pull off the Advent. And when I say a clean kilo, we work in a lot of addition. This is where our extras come from because I didn't actually need a kilo. If I'm doing 40 Advents and I need 20 to 25 grams per Advent, hold on, 40 times 25. Yeah, it's 1,000. That's a kilo. That's a kilo. That's what I need to pull off 25 grams per Advent. But of course, these fleece were bigger, so we managed to get a lot of extra sets. I think I planned for 40 Great Guts Adventures, and I think we shipped about 50 Great Guts Adventures. 10 full extras plus fiber onlys, because we run out of the treasures before we ran out of wool here. Dreamland, down there in the bottom corner. I wonder if I have a closer shot. The Dreamland one was interesting because I had to have my little recipe. So I had to know how much silk I needed to have, how much sari I needed to have, how much alpaca I needed to have to build out our baskets, because we build out 200-gram baskets to feed to Big Homie first. And so I, again, build for extras. I build in extra baskets, extra wool. And I needed to have that one. I want margins. I want big margins because I don't want to come out at the end when we're breaking up bats and come up short. Again, why we always have fiber only extras and things like that for our Advents. So once that's on the board, once Dreamland was realized in color, and once we figured out the recipe, the proportions, how much alpaca, how much silk, we actually did increase silk. At first I was 10%. We went up because I wanted more color. All these kind of things. Once you're done figuring it out, I can bulk out the board. And I don't know if you guys can see, but it says down there, 72 baskets, 6 carded per day, 12 days of carding. Underneath that, it says 72 baskets, 8 carded per day, 9 days of carding. So every Advent, what I'm talking about when I say that is I need 72 200-gram baskets of wool, silk fiber mix-ins for Dreamland to pull off the volume and the quantity for this Advent. That's how much I need. That's a big number. The baskets are these. They hold 200 grams. 72 of these full of wool to card. 2 passes on Big Homie. So 144 passes on Big Homie just for Dreamland. Just for that one Advent alone. The big number. But I know comfortably you can do 6 to 8 baskets a day, depending on the basket, depending on the breed. We have done as many as 11 baskets in a day on Big Homie, but that's a lot of hours standing in front of a carder, like a lot. And it gets difficult. After a while, your body starts to hurt. The space between your shoulders, you're standing for a really long time, or you're just done. You've just been running basket after basket after basket. So 72 times 2, 144. That's a lot of baskets to run through. And it seems like a bit of a tedious, or not like it's a bit of a crushing number. So, and I also have to keep up with the schedule. We have to get this done in a certain amount of time. There isn't really a way to make hand processing go faster. So instead, we just have to be really, really efficient. So up at the very top of the board, you can see where it says Advent, carding, deadline, November 9th, 4 work days. So we started that counter at like 25 work days. We had to pull this off. So then the carding, because that's just for the carding. That's not for the packaging. That's not for the scouring. That's not for any of the collecting, the crafting, and the million emails you're doing with all the crafters and working out this and ordering your boxes and making sure that you have all the colors of tissue that you want and what stringer we're using and who's stamping the tags and who is, all the other work. That number is literally for just big homie, not even the little homies. They're not included in that 8 days, 12 days, all that kind of stuff. So these numbers here for days carding is specifically just for the big homie. Nothing else is involved in these timelines. So once I knew, because each Advent has a number breakdown. So obviously the Great Guts Adventure is not being carded, but Delightful's carded, Shenanigans carded, half-size Advent, though only 150 grams, Dreamland is carded. At the time, though, Shenanigans wasn't a part of the original figure. This was carding just for Delightful and Dreamland. Just for those 2 Advents. We had 264 baskets or 264 passes to do on the big homie. 264 feeding wool to a carter, pull it off, feed the wool to the carter, pull it off, feed the wool to the carter, pull it off. 264 times. That's a lot of time just for that one carter. Still has to go through little homies. So this is a snapshot of one specific portion of the workload that the Advent is. And so to do that, what I need to do is go, okay, so we've got 60 plus 72 divided by how many we can possibly do in a day. We need 6 days at the best. We need 8 days at the worst kind of thing, or 9 days. Then I need to look at a calendar and figure out exactly how many carding days we have. 25. Okay, so if we do this, 25 till we get to the deadline where we need to start packaging. Because we need a week to package a solid week of, again, like I said, 3 to 4 people, 8 hours a day. So once we get to that point, so I need to be done by November 9th because I need to be shipping by the 14th, 15th in order for everything to get there on time, except for that one parcel. I'm so sorry, lady. So then I can work backwards. And then what I see here is I can build in this case, I was able to build in about 8 days buffer, 10 days buffer. And then that way, if something happens, if you get sick, if all of a sudden you forgot it was so-and-so's birthday and you're actually out all day, or if this or if that, we have these buffer days, which are really necessary. So in the case we first built this out, we started with 9 buffer days and we finished 2 days ahead of schedule. That's how that went. We had 2 work days left when we finished this. So we actually had a really peaceful weekend right before we went into packaging week, which was awesome. And I really love that. So again, the 9 carding days, another thing we have to keep in mind, the carding days for this, keep in mind is that once they come off the big homie, they still have to rip through the little homies. It's much quicker to go through little homies in order to get to this place. This is where the little homies get us, right there to that zone. So before that, they're just these huge sheets that need to get broken down. So that's worked out on a separate schedule of days because the little homies work behind the big homie. So once I got all this up on the board, Delightful's up. We need this many baskets. I need to have this much clean wool and this much of each mix in and this much of this and this much of that. And once it's out of my head and it's here, then we can just, my brain is free. And we can just start working. And all you got to do at that point is you kind of enter into a restful zone where you're just working. Your treasures are all here. So all the work you've been doing for a year is arrived and paid for. And you've got, the paid for. Let me tell you, the cost alone of putting together these Advents is astronomical. You put it all out ahead. You get it all back during Advent season. And then your husband goes and buys a bunch of equipment. It's like the craziest thing. We have this, that was a joke. I've been, that was, you know, it's all still there. We have all of this itemized on the board, and then what we end up getting. Oh, 190 TPI for Big Homie. So once we end up getting this all together, my brain is free. And now I'm following a recipe. That's it. I've developed the recipe. I have the plan of action. I know how many days it's going to take us. And you feel better because you're like, okay, perfect. Like if we do a minimum 6 baskets a day. So some days we only got 4 baskets done because life. And then the next day I could get 9 done, or you know what I mean? And so you can kind of play around with it. But we know essentially on the worst case scenario, I need, 18 straight days in front of Big Homie. And this gives me a 6-day buffer. And then you just feel great. We mathed it all. The wool is clean. We have the quantities we need. All the mix-ins are washed. Everything is here. If we're processing something, we process it. It's all ready to go. The Vicuña's been carted. We've taken all the hair out of that new Bora goat. We are like ready. And then you just follow your days. You cross them off as you go. You can see we're crossing off Delightful down there. That's where we mixed up Delightful and kind of figured out who was going with who on the board. So while we were doing that, days and days and days and days of just standing in front of Big Homie, which was me. I did all the Big Homieing for, I would say, 90% of this Advent. That's where my brain cooked up shenanigans, which we're going to talk about tomorrow, because my brain was free and the wait list was building. And swirly twirly idea thoughts and thinking, and oh, you know what, actually we could. And so we'll talk about that more tomorrow, but then shenanigans went to the top of the board. So that's how this board works out. This would be a more updated board here. You can see where Emily has added in the days, which are wrong. This is the board I kept referencing when I was looking behind me during lore to see what we were doing the next day. You can see we've now got shenanigans. Oh, don't look! Shenanigans is on there! Oh no! Stop. I can't show you that board. Melissa, all their shenanigans. All my shenanigans recipes were on that last board. I didn't even think about that. I didn't even back to the first board. This one has no recipes. No recipes. Ooh, see where all the pens are? We took the pens off and we put don't back up if you're in shenanigans. Oh, if you're in shenanigans, you already know. Shoot. I literally just became what is wool made of in that moment. That was so stupid. The board evolves. We have a changing board. Oh my gosh. We have a changing board. It's a little cut off. I can see. I don't want to put it back up again, but I can see it's a little bitty baby cut off, and it was small on the screen. But then we got our recipes up for shenanigans, and we followed those, and so the board evolves and the board changes. What a dork! What a lip balm moment. This is our very professional system for when we packed up the guts. So the day that we packed up the guts clubs, that's what we worked with. Isn't that great? Aren't we just tech-y? So Nelly was in charge of Guts Day, and she worked off this list. Nelly was the guts generally, like Nelly was just here Wednesday packing up sommelier guts. Nelly's got a really good eye for the locks that go in, the locks that go out. I do too. Emily would be a little less comfortable there because she doesn't pick. And picking really teaches you something. I pick a lot. Nelly picks a lot. And so Nelly comes over and oftentimes puts together all of our guts clubs and things like that. So Nelly was here the day that we packed up the Great Guts Adventure, and she sat on the kitchen floor surrounded in VM and all kinds of things, and she stuffed bags all day. They had been pre-stamped, and she was just going through. So I just bring her a big bag of wool. I was yelling out, what's the next one? What's the next one? And she's like, it's Finn, and so I go grab the Finn, I grab the bison, and we plop it down, and scales are out. There's baskets and scales. We're vacuuming between each fleece because some are dirty. We don't want to contaminate the next one. And we have like the little teeny drug scale that can weigh out the exact 5 grams or whatever we need to putting in of that one. And we got the other big scale to put the wool in. And trying to shove the big bulky babes into bags and whatever. So Nelly manned this list and kept us in order. But it was interesting because it's like you got your piles of strings, you got your piles of bags, you got your big bags of wool, and they're filling the hallway of the house. And you're just trying to move through. And then Emily was over in another corner on the floor by the fireplace, and her job was tying all those strings onto the bags. I really sucked at that. I don't know what was going on with my hands. I could not do the tying. So Emily and Olivia, my daughter, did the most of the actual like wrapping of the parcel, tying the knots. I think they pretty much did Delightful all by themselves. Emily did Great Guts Adventure all by herself, tying them up. And I believe when we did Dreamland, Thursday friend was over for Dreamland and she was tying up too. But she often ties up, like she's helped me in past advents as well. And then Nelly was taking charge of this order. So it's really nice when you have very competent, helpful friends who enjoy this work, and then they come over and your brain, like my brain, gets a little tired because there's a lot of things happening because, you know, this project. And so it's nice when someone else can just take the list and go, and I don't even have to think about it. So love you, Nelly. Thank you for doing all of that. I don't even know if she's here, but anyway. So that's how we did guts that day, our super high tech day, where we sat there with our taped scrap of paper and did the guts. Okay, what do we have for questions? We might know the breeds, but didn't you say I had some hand-dyed fiber as well? I'm saying nothing. You can find out tomorrow. Nothing! Suddenly I'm blind. I wasn't looking, so nothing is spoiled. Okay, good. Oh, I'm such a dummy. I'll leave it up in the thing, though. I wasn't looking, so nothing's spoiled. What is wool made of? I have a partial one, haven't opened it yet. LOL. There was another question. Buffer days. We love buffer days. Someone asked me, I got the guts with subs. Any recommendations for handling the wallaby and the Rideau Arcot? Okay. So in the Great Guts Adventure, we were able to make quite a lot of extras. We had the most extras of that advent. And then we were also able to make a couple more because we could do fiber substitutions. And there was 2 days that got substituted. So the number 1 day that got substituted was day 7. And day 7 was the Cormo alpaca, right? Was day 7 the Cormo alpaca? I think it was. Okay, so day 7 was the Cormo alpaca. We did most of our subs in that day, and what we did is we just swapped out the Cormo for the bond that we had left over from Delightful. So this bond right here is the substitute fleece that you have if you got one that has a substitute day 7. It's actually this bond because we had leftovers of this bond from Delightful, and I'm like, well, it's the same color as the Cormo, and I would say we're trying to do equivalent fleece, and I think a bond and a Cormo, I think that's a good little swap because that Cormo was more of a workhouse Cormo anyway. It's not nearly as curly. It has some differences texture-wise, but the color's the same and the quality is there on both these fleece. So we just did a straight sub and we subbed out about 7 advents, got bond instead of the Cormo on day 7. And then day 9 was our Tunis possum day. We ran out of both the Tunis and the possum. Both of those we just not ran out. Like we had enough to make the advents we sold, but and then we could make a few extras, but we had to really sub out Tunis possum in order to, all the other days stayed the same. And it felt worth it to me to put in some subs for those days. So there's a couple of you who, instead of Tunis possum, you got Rideau Arcot from Margot, one of my favorite fleeces, and you got the wallaby. Because I felt like if we were giving them something real weird and messy, you need to get something weird and messy too. Equivalencies, right? Tunis to Rideau. Man, I love that Rideau. Texturally, while still being a downy type wool, it isn't as bulky as the Tunis was, which will lend itself better to the wallaby. The wallaby is straight and soft, as you can tell when you're working with it. And would have been, I would not have put wallaby with that Tunis. I think I talked about this on that day. It wouldn't have been suited. I think it would have made the wallaby stick out all over the place and it wouldn't have been good. But I feel like it's going to lay better where the rideau has the ability to hold on to it, but not like bend it, if that makes sense. I don't know how to describe that. Where we want the possum captured up in all that kind of like all over the place. I feel like the rideau wallaby, when we did our little sample of that, it laid well together. So my tips for that would be the same as they were for the possum day. Like, you're going to have to embrace the mess. I'd love you to show this online, by the way, if you ever do, and I'll share it in my story so other people can see how the wallaby went down. You're going to have a different color bat. I don't find the wallaby tints the wool as much as the possum does. And it's still going to be a really interesting spin. It's still going to be a mess. Similar to what people are saying with sari silk. Lay a layer of your rideau down and then start putting your wallaby through, maybe sandwich it and see what happens. But it's going to be exploratory for sure. It's going to make a mess for sure. So just keep all of that in mind. Okay. Just processing now. Nice. I have a partial one. Haven't opened it yet. Okay. Were there any other questions? Did I miss anything? I'm going to have to mix up more CVM Angora. That was a lovely spin. Yeah, and you can have Melly knits at home. CVMs we got a lot of those around. Angora, you got the commercial Angora too. So like you can buy that from most fiber sellers online. If you just Google Angora top, it'll be available to you. Did you use a multicolor sari silk for Dreamland? All sari silk is multicolor. There's one called Yeti that is pretty much just like a light pewter with big fluffy tufts in it. Aside from that one, all sari silk is very multicolor with a standard base color. So like this orange one is predominantly an orange sari silk, but it's all very multicolor. And some have way, way more chunks and some have way, way less chunks. This one's like a medium chunk, but there are some that are just like almost all strings and chunks. And then some that are more silk based like this. And then in the case of Yeti, it's one that's predominantly silk. Like it just feels like lumpy silk. Okay. Was that it? Did we get it? Any hints as to when extra small A's will be posted? Monday. Those will be Monday. Thanks. That's the impression I got. The spongy locks will be grippy. Nice. Yes, they will. The spongy rideau locks will be grippy. Yeah, absolutely they will. Okay. Did we cover it? I think we might have in the lore. Essentially, making advents is my favorite. I have a few friends this year who said, I don't think I'm going to do an advent next year. I think I want to have a normal October. and I felt that. I really felt that because I was like, right? I'll plan a lot of my year around a couple of things: Fibers West, Knit City, and Advent, because there are things we show up for differently than a shop update. If I have 10 or 20 less bats in my, if I have 10 or 20 less bats in a shop update, I don't know how much of a difference that makes. Like we like to show up to shop updates with about 120 bats, but if I roll up with 110 or whatever, or we kind of it's really relaxing because you just pick something in the beginning of the month, you wash it, you pick it, you card it, and out it goes, right? We have about 25 fleece a month leaving here, maybe more between sommelier clubs. We have 5 sommelier clubs a month. Yeah. And then, and so those are all multi-fleece. And then you've also got the shop update. But the things like Fibers West, Knit City, these in-person shows, obviously, if I show up with like way less, it looks bad. So and you got to think about your display and your setup and that your little till is working so you can take people's payments. And do you have swag and stickers? And did you get bags? And what's the setup day? And how long are we going to need? And whose truck are we putting everything in? There's all these things you think about. Both Knit City and Fibers West combined workload is still maybe a third of Advent. Advent is the most all-consuming things. When I have friends saying, I think I want to have a normal October, I totally get it, because it's I think about it all year. I've already bought fleece for next year. I just talked to someone on the live yesterday about hook me up with your artist friend, or, like we're already planning, because you have to. I have to know what I'm doing early in the year. Otherwise, I can't do it. And we talked about this last year in the 13, episode 13, about how far in advance you're spending money. You're buying. Things are being set aside. I had that Vicuña. I had $1,000 waiting on the shelf for a year and a half. The Paco Vicuña. That you hold on to it. Whatever. It's business. Like this is how you operate, right? So there's lots of things like that you kind of have to think about in advance, order in advance. I've already ordered a treasure for Delightful next year because it's a small maker and she needs a lot of time. It's a handmade item. It's really detailed. And so she knows I need it by September, but she might have it done in March, and then I'll pay her in March and I'll store it away. So like we're kind of playing those games. I showed you the board, but what I didn't show you, because I can't, is my spreadsheets. I've got spreadsheets for each Advent, Excel workbooks with itemized sections for the fleece cost, the amount of pounds we're scouring, what it costs us to do that, how much we're picking, and carding, a cost per pound for carding. And that helps us build out the cost to cover all the labor and the materials. And then there's a section just for treasures. And what did I pay for these treasures? Here's the total cost for me of what did I spend without any markup, okay? Just on treasures per box. I have that number. It's a big number every year. It's so funny what it actually just cost me. And I don't like being a reseller. So I don't want to buy something someone else made, mark it up and sell it. That feels bad to me all the time. I want to make it myself. So when in the case of the treasures, they live there, and that line item just is the line item that I add to the Advent. What I paid is what you guys would pay. Just to be totally forward. I think maybe one or two people might have been like, oh, it's $20, I'll do 18, like something like that, because I was buying a lot. And I said, thank you, because that just lowers the cost of the Advent by $2. Do you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I want these makers to also make their money. But yeah, there was two vendors I can think of that, like, I didn't pay sticker price. I think I paid like slightly, again, 20 to 18. Everyone else, I paid what you guys paid to get those treasures into the Advents. And I love that. The maker's got to make. Do you know what I'm saying? And so there's a line item. And so I add up the wool cost, the treasure cost, the packaging material cost for tissue. I have a price for tissue per Advent, guys, and the box. And then I add up labor, carding, and scouring. And these are labor prices that are based upon how we operate Melly Knits as a whole. I do everything based off stopwatch time. So if I walk into the bathroom, stopwatch on, scour, do my thing. I'm walking out for my 20-minute timer, stopwatch off. And so we were able to, over the years, really know the cost of doing these things per pound because we've done stopwatches. I encourage all of you to do that if you ever want to know what you would charge for something, because your time will be different. Your efficiency will be different. I'm fast. I'm efficient at everything because this is what I do all day, every day, right? So my timing is going to be lower probably, and my equipment's big and efficient. And so that's going to affect my stopwatch versus someone else's and all this kind of stuff. So if you're my hour or my pound of wool to scour it, pick it, card it, will have a different price than your pound of wool, scour, pick, card, especially if you have a small little carder or it's manual or you haven't picked this kind of wool before, or you're kind of questioning some of your scour. It's taking a little bit longer. We're very experienced and very competent at all that because, again, it's what we do all day. So for us, it's just like we just go. So I build out labor, and then I have to build out additional labor to pay all of these kids who come in for packaging week and stamp the cards and do all that kind of stuff. So we add labor to each Advent to cover packaging week. That's why Advents are more money for the wool than you would pay for wool in my shop, because there's extra labor everywhere. And my labor for sitting there and emailing everybody all year, there's no line item for that. It happens in and amongst the year as you're doing stuff. There's absolutely no way to quantify what goes into the planning portion of it. Like I'm not sitting down with a stopwatch while I'm going to sit to plan, because all of my best ideas come to me in the water office, and that's not technically work time. Or when I wake up at 2 a.m. and remember that I have a goat on the shelf that I need to now go find. So that's just being Melly knits. That just goes out into the ether, right? So all the line items come together. We got a cost, and now we know where we can land with our pricing based on what it actually costs me from my pocket to put this thing together, all in. Oh, and the exotic fibers, the specialty fibers, the silks. They also have, so like for Dreamland, that was all in one section with the wool, because we knew the stable blend that was going to be. But for Delightful, every one of these specialty fibers has its own light item as well. So I have to know, what does this much per advent cost me to put Paco Vicuña, to put this goat, to put these things all in the advent with their scour times, because some of those get scoured, picked, and carded ahead of time too. And some are like, we just open from a box and blend into the advent, like the Mugga silk. So it's really complex so the spreadsheets on spreadsheets on spreadsheets, in order to just keep track of, because you got to think about all that kind of stuff. You have to remember, like, some of these, like for the Great Guts Adventure, some of these are hand-processed specialty blend-ins and some are out of the box. And so which ones are which, and which ones we have to add the labor to, and whatever else. So that's how we build out the costing of the advent, put up the previews. I panic over the pricing every year. I completely panic every year over the pricing. I'm like, oh my gosh, these are so much money. These are so expensive. Like, but like when I look at what it costs to build them, it could have been more. I could have tried. But it's still totally worth it for us to do it. And I love it. Oh, I love this bomb. This is from the Bison guys, by the way. Minty Mint. Improv Beauty. This is made with the bison fat or whatever from the bison we spun in both those advents, Great Guts Adventure and Delightful. Okay, so that's a little look at the pricing, at how we come to pricing, a little look at the processing, how we process. Amazing. So what new equipment did Hobbs buy? Right? Why am I'm having a what is wool made of, what's the purpose of lip balm kind of day. I don't know. I feel like subconsciously, oh my gosh. Beatrice, I just saw your text. She's so sassy. I feel like I'm not ready to talk about it yet. I'm adjusting to so many ideas. What's happening to me? I will say though, I would never have bought Big Homie. That was Aaron. And I'm a little maybe more cautious. And he's like, no, this is the move. This is the thing. And he'll put money out ahead of us. And then we'll come in and we'll fill that space with lots of new customers and we'll be able to fill it. I think I could get a little bit more nervous. I don't know if it wasn't for him, would I still be on the island? Would I still be down there? Just like, no, it's fine. I'll just work 24 hours a day. Like, let's just keep the cost low. And he's like, no, let's build you a room. And no, let's buy you this big carter. It's going to change everything. And the only reason why we even have Big Homie, I couldn't do it. When the day came down to buy it, I was like, I can't do it. I can't press that button. I can't spend that money. And he was like, I got you. Boom, money spent. And now we have Big Homie. And because we got Big Homie, we have an advent. We got Big Homie in September, the year that we first did Delightful. I wouldn't have ever been able to do Delightful on one little homie. And now we have two little homies. And because we have those two little homies, we are able to do the amount of advent we did this year, although I would say we reached and or exceeded our natural capacity. So he thinks more equipment is a really good idea for us. And I agree. But I don't know. I keep saying the same thing. I'm like, I don't know. What if everyone stops buying tomorrow? What if we have all this equipment and we've altered our home and like we're making these kind of big moves, and then I don't know, like, what if it's a hobby? What if I can go there? And he's just like, hun, it's fine. And oh, so that's what's going on in Melly Knits Land. And yeah, that's what's going on in that's what's going on in Melly Knits Land. So there is a new machine coming to the wool room. And that's probably pretty obvious to everybody by now. There is a second little homie, a big homie, I'm sorry, coming to the wool room, which is why we're taking out the closet, which is why we're doing some other things. We have really, I at first was like, we don't need two big homies. We're fine. And then, him and Emily were pretty certain that actually it would be super useful just in regards to the way that what if the world were made of pudding? Right? So there is another one coming, and I can see they totally make sense. But that's a huge purchase. That's a big purchase. And now we have to alter a room to accommodate it. And so that's a big deal, and that's expensive. And so just all of these things. And I'm just like, but what if, like, blah, blah, blah. So, but we're doing it. That is something that's coming. And there's a couple more things coming down the pipes that I'm definitely not ready to talk about yet. They won't. It's gonna be awesome, and I think I'll feel a lot better about it once we actually get going. So, but we're not there yet, and I'm not really like hey guys, watch this space, because I'm like, I don't know, like what if it sucks and I hate it, and then I'm just gonna make it all go away quietly. That's kind of more my vibe. I'm a little bit more of that person. You'll just never know it even was trying to happen versus, hyping it up and then whatever. So there it is. There's all my stories about what's coming up, but it will be cool to have a second big homie. And it just allows, we actually even had, here's something exciting. We actually had someone new come yesterday to train on one of the little homies. Interesting, because it's around the same amount of time that Emily began, was this time last year. Now she can pretty much do everything except for picking. So having someone new show up yesterday, and it was a really great day. She was super good at it. So we'll see where that goes. She's going to come back in the new year. And then she'd be very, very casual, a little bit more like cute little nurse daughter who kind of comes in for projects or whatever else. And as this is hand made, everything we do at Melly Knits being hand done, the only way to increase output is to have more hands. And so, and obviously equipment for the hands to work on, but like really it's a hands thing. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people who pick for me offsite, who pick wool. That's what I have. So I've got 6 offsite pickers, plus I pick and Erin picks. In order to get wool picked, that's our bottleneck, for hand picked for these bats. And then having people being able to sit and run carders and know how and all that kind of stuff. We need more bodies. If we were automated, right? Like then you need one person can run some big machine and pump a bunch of wool out. It's just a different kind of product. So for us, in order to have a larger output, we need more bodies. That's how it goes. But that's also a really tricky thing because people need to be trained, like Emily and like this other new person. It's like, what? I didn't even know there was this many kinds of sheep. She kept saying yesterday. She's never even heard of this, never touched it. But her nature has the nature to sit in front of a carder all day and handle wool. So that's really good. That's a specific kind of person too. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And I guess where I can get nervous is that we're building up for more output, which would be great because the shop updates are still going really fast. The Advent's still sold really fast. There's still people. I still get messages after every shop update of people who got carjacked. They didn't get something. They're kind of big sad about it. Most are really lovely. Some aren't as lovely, but hey, they're disappointed. And so there's like a sense of, man, like you wish you could get everything out to everybody. And then it's balanced with this sense of every time we have a shop update and it does that really and truly, I'm like, oh, okay, it's sold. Like I keep waiting, like for one day, no one's going to show up. Like why this is the thing that falls into my level of like, remember we talked about how I'm not an insecure person. We just found another area. Like every single time it sells, like I'm putting in all my inventory and I'm so like, oh my gosh. And then it all goes. I'm like, oh, it went. I'm definitely not sitting here like, come at me, peasants. I hope you get something. I'm like hoping people are going to show up and buy something. And so every time it happens, I'm so overjoyed and relieved and thrilled because what on earth am I going to do with all these bats? So anyway, so as we're making moves to have more output in one of the slowest hobbies out there, right? One of the slow crafts or whatever to put this together. It's just, it's just a thing that I could take more pause on than my husband, who's like, babe, go. He always tells me that too. He's like, because I was stay-at-home mom before 2018 when I found spinning. And he's always like, you did so much investment in this family and endless stuff with the kids and all these kind of things, right? He goes, this is like your time. Go baby, go. And he runs so much interference for me to be able to do this. And I'm so grateful for that. So if the man says we need machines, we're getting machines, and I trust him and I'm scared. And I'm like a teeny nervous about it. So there you go. There you have it. Okay. Songbird, I wish I could come work for you. That job sounds dreamy. Imogen, if you ever need more picking done, I'm nearby. Hey, send me an email. I always need picking. It pays by the pound. New big homie name. I don't know. We'll have to meet him. And see. Okay. Is there any other questions, guys? Because we've been on here since 9. It's almost noon. Longest chat ever. But you're all still here. So supportive. Unbelievably so. I am very protected by my husband. And I don't mean protected even in like, oh, fight a guy for you. Not like that. That's stupid. I'm protected in like my peace, my time, my space, my energy. He's great, man. I hit the lottery. I hit major husband lottery. So I'm really, really, really grateful. I'm really grateful for the love of my life. And I am talking about Aaron and not Shaba. I sometimes call Shaba the 4-legged love of my life. I'm very, very grateful for him. So there you go. Okay. If there aren't any more questions, we talked about the bills. We talked about costing and pricing. We saw all the final days. I think we might be done, guys. Are we done? Did we just finish? Yeah, circle claps for the hub. We love Aaron. Where would I be without that man? Probably. Oh, whoa, big filter. Yes. I just filtered myself so hard. I'm so glad there's still some left. Okay. I would like to, and again, in all of this talk, just one last word on it. Even just when I'm explaining things, I'm not entirely exactly fulsome. Like even the experience of motherhood, okay? Like how I just described, the things we're doing for that. Like obviously, I'm still mothering and still got kids. They're waiting for me in the kitchen right now to go bake and whatever else. But like in general, in the same way that in these lives we're touching on certain things and it's not as rich and deep and fulsome as I can possibly convey, even at a almost 3-hour live. Same goes with the Advent. And same goes with my gratefulness for you guys buying it. I don't know if I can even tell you how much relief is in you guys coming in and buying it and then loving it and enjoying it and having such a good time with it. And I've been getting some really beautiful messages for some of you who this has been more to you than just a spin you bought yourself. This has been a much needed distraction, or this has been a source of joy or comfort, or it's been a rough season end. And it's really, really spectacular to read those things. And I want you to know, we love making these things and the care that goes into them. Like, I'm so glad when you guys feel that, because it's what we're putting in there on purpose. Okay, last question, and then I'll go. What kind of cookies are you making? Real quick. I did a stint of 8 years. I know I just said a stay at home, but like while I was stay at home, of imposter pastry chefing. And it was a company called Buttercream Couture, and I primarily focused on wedding cakes. But every year I would do a big Christmas bake thing. And oh man, I got to dig up some of those old blog posts. Those were funny with my recipes. So today we're doing wrapped caramels. We're doing rolled gingerbread cookies. We're doing rolled sugar cookies. We are doing caramel corn. We are doing candied pecans and white chocolate macadamia nut biscotti. We got a lot. So I'm going to go. I am going to go because I want to go see my girls. They're downstairs. My girls, it's actually Olivia and cute little Emily are working today. It's a little team building day. Thank you, Melly. Oh, hey, you're welcome. You're welcome, guys. Love it. Can't wait to talk to you about shenanigans tomorrow. We're going to leave this one here, and then tomorrow we're not going to have big gooey goodbyes, okay? We're just going to talk shenanigans. We did it today, and then we're just going to do the thing, and we're going to go. I'm going to dim sum in the morning with my family for breakfast. I will not be here till the afternoon. I don't exactly know when, but I imagine sometime around 3, my time, Pacific time. So hope you guys can join me. I'll try and give a heads up when we're on our way home from the restaurant or whatever, if it's going to be earlier and or later, but sometime in the afternoon. I'm going to be here, okay? And we'll open shenanigans together. We're going to open it. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. It's maybe the prettiest. So I can't wait to talk to you guys all about it. Baking, kisses, love, I'm going, and goodbye. Oh, goodbye.